Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're live. Make no mistake, NFL Week 18 is in action, but it can take a back seat for a moment because there is about zero exciting stuff going on at the moment. I mean, the Raiders and Chargers are in a little bit of a matchup right now, but we have an intense NBA matchup going on. Celtics Thunder. I mean, the NBA finally giving us a good NBA game when there's, kind of, again, it's not like the absence of the NFL, but it's that absence of quality NFL football. It seems like the NBA has had some moments to go up against it, and they're doing it right now. The Thunder are going through the gauntlet a little bit. I think they just, of course, played the Knicks the other night in a matchup against another high-level Eastern Conference team, and they have the lead by 2 as of right now, 6.5 minutes left, and we're in that territory where we're seeing who's on the final 5. Dort with the steal. He's going to go coast to coast. They're in OKC. The arena erupts. OKC up by 4. Boston was up by 10. At one point in the second half, it looked like in, second quarter, middle of the game, it looked like they were going to kind of be the better team. But the three-point shooting really fell off a cliff for them. I think they showed a stat at one point in the fourth quarter. They were down to like 18%. And Shea, of course, has been controlling the pace. He's got Holiday on him right now. The step back for 3 in his face. The Thunder. Are they going to put the Celtics away? Right now on the court, we've got Shea, we've got Jalen, we've got Dort, Hartenstein, and Cason Wallace, the young guy, making it out in what is looking like the potential Final 5. And the Celtics right now, I mean, they're running they got Porzingis in the mix. I think this is the full crew. I mean, we haven't seen like a Kata, Jordan Walsh appearance, I don't think. But, I mean, they've thrown everybody out there. Pritchard, Hauser. Like we're saying, Porzingis is healthy tonight. So this is a real test here. And a 16-5 run in the last 4.5 minutes. The Thunder winning the fourth quarter minutes against the team that should be the team that is, I mean, just what it is. They should be the team that's better at executing down the stretch. I mean, they're the team that is the playoff team, the NBA championships. And we get it. The Thunder are going to be, especially at this point in the season, the hungrier team. But you could tell, I think, Jaylen Brown was really aggressive early in this game. And I think you could see that the Celtics want to still kind of prove themselves as the top dogs, I think. And they're, going back and forth between this and the NFL. It's hard. I can't say that they're trying to like lay the smackdown on the Thunder, pause. But I think they've showed up and they're ready to go. But they can't stop Shea. Again, they've thrown everybody at him. I guess they're just going to go. They're going to go Brown, switch to Holiday. Of course, the Celtics will probably switch, but they were starting with Brown on him early in the game. And it seemed like he was doing an interesting job. And the switch ends up with Horford on him. That's not what you want. Swinging it around, Jalen Williams for 3. We know those 3-point numbers are down a little bit this year. Tatum the other end, blocked by Shea. Shea defensively this time, stepping up. Wow, he blocks Tatum in the fast corner. Hartenstein with the poster. The Thunder, chat. Wow. Is this it? Are they stamping their claim as the best team in the league? Wow, Hartenstein, the energy he's bringing to the court. And, of course, the Thunder are the shorthanded team. They don't even have Chet, which is an interesting kind of what that does to your lineup because, with the way the Celtics go big, you think, oh, they're replaying the Shea block, the chase down in transition. Wow. But with the way the Celtics go big with Horford and Porzingis, you could definitely match that with Chet and Hartenstein. But it is interesting when you're a little smaller with some of the wings like that. You get a little Case and Wallace in there. And, of course, just straight up, Chet is better than Case and Wallace. But it is an interesting lineup to go specifically against this Celtics team as well. But, of course, with Chet, they're totally fine. I thought the Niners somehow got Trey Lance back for a second, but it's just Joshua Dobbs. He took Trey Lance's old number 5. And he's running the football a lot, so a little bit of overlap between Trey Lance and Josh Dobbs. But Josh Dobbs still better than Trey Lance. I don't know, chat. We did at least get a look at Trey Lance today, but we'll get there in a second. The NFL is definitely packing it in this week, chat. It is what it is. They're really taking advantage of our viewership. I hope we get a report that says the numbers are down, not because, the NBA people would finally be like, yes, maybe that's a small victory. But just because this week doesn't deserve, nobody's even trying. Shout out, though, Garoppolo in the Rams game, who unfortunately just threw a pick. But at least we're getting a Garoppolo sighting in 2025. A decent way to start off the year for the REMINGTOM pod. We'll take it. Jimmy Garoppolo, honor athlete. Was he honor athlete bingo card, chat? We can check that one off. It felt like that one would have been, I guess this would have been really the one week to see it. Are we ever going to see Garoppolo compete for a starting job again? We should try to just tap in and watch this whole stream, chat. Pause. This might be, it's Aaron Rodgers' last game. Who cares, chat? This might be Jimmy Garoppolo's last game. Our boy Jimmy G. A legendary run. We'll always look back with fond memories at Jimmy G. And they're still cleaning up the aftermath of that Hartenstein dunk. Devastating the Celtics, chat. Completely throwing them off. Destroying Horford. Oh, Hartenstein missed the free throw. But a brutal sequence. Up 9. And the Celtics are, a little... They do get a little stagnant-y, a little swing the ball, try to jack up a 3 type offense. Jaylen Brown attacks the rim there, not able to get it to go. And Hartenstein's just, defensively, it is close, chat, between, I think Chet is still a better defender than Hartenstein. Chet is, really one of the better defenders in the league, for sure. I think you could make a case that, especially if there was like a third all-team defense, we were talking like top 15. Chet's definitely in that mix for top 15, just individual defenders. But the advanced stats last year for Hartenstein he was right up there in the mix with all those guys. Again, big men and wings, like just everybody in the league. Hartenstein was one of the more impactful defenders. So at least you're still able to, get some of that. The rebounding. There's just like a general size thing in the paint with him as well. And he can hang with Brown right there on the drive. Back-to-back drive by Brown, not able to go. Hartenstein moving his feet. Oh, Shea throws it out of bounds in the corner. The first bad play for the Thunder in a while. 3 minutes left. This is the big play, Jim. This is the big play, Jim possession for the Celtics. Oh, and it's just going to be Tatum jacking up a 3. He gets to go, chat. But that pick and roll, one dribble right from the Paycom Center logo. I guess that's probably the offense that Missoula does coach, though. He loves three-point shooting. He loves spacing. And Jalen Williams not able to get that floater to go. They don't quite have that second scorer. Doesn't matter. Tatum blowing the layup on the other end. Okay, so sloppy. We're getting a sloppy 3 minutes here, chat. Another turnover by the Thunder. Maybe the Celtics bring in Pritchard. Help with the comeback. Oh, Horford. Offensive foul on Horford. Can we get Porzingis in the game? Why is Horford in the game and not There we go. Chet looking like a chef on the sideline. Chef Chet. Either looking like a chef or somebody that works on some kind of boat. I'm not exactly sure what type of sailor he would be, Chet, but I feel like it's in those vibes. But anyways, hopefully you guys were enjoying your Week 18. I don't know if anybody was. This is an all-time look at the phone week. I mean, should we just go through the quarterbacks that were playing? Especially today, chat. Yesterday, we did get, Lamar played, Burrow played, Russell Wilson played. We did get the NFC North, I guess literally the 2 NFC North games battling it out. And I guess technically the Browns as well, too, playing their guys, even though they don't count. But just in the games that already happened, of course, we had Mayfield as the 1 starter. Daniels played a little bit. Yeah, Daniels went 6 for 12 for 38 in this game. I think they were just like, oh, geez. Not only do we need him to stay healthy. If he's playing like this, we might actually just be able to move to Mariota and win this game. Technically, we did get Caleb Williams and Jordan Love as well, too. But outside of that, chat, I mean, Tanner McKee, Drew Lock. We had Trubisky versus Joe Milton. They were saying it was Mariota, Trey Lance at one point, Flacco, Mac Jones, Spencer Rattler was in. Bryce Young versus Penix, I think maybe ended up being the most exciting duel of the day. And then we don't even have Tua playing for the Dolphins right now. We got Huntley. Man, I love Huntley. Maybe I should be more grateful for this late window. Huntley, Garoppolo. I mean, this slate was just built for us, chat. The league was like, well, we know at least one person is going to be watching this Week 18 regardless of who's playing. So at least we'll make sure it's players that he like. We'll script it for Huntley, for Garoppolo. I mean, even Joe Milton, chat. We've got a little bit of Joe Milton stock. I know, unfortunately that season during COVID was, the worst season for Michigan with Harbaugh. We ended up with like 2 wins. But we have no hard feelings for Milton. He went to Tennessee. He did his thing. Got himself drafted, and he looked good today. I'd enjoy watching Milton, Caleb Williams, and Jordan Love. I guess the only thing we were missing was Anthony Richardson, Chad. If we had Anthony Richardson out there in the early slate, and even Spencer Rattler, we go back with Spencer Rattler as well, too. We got some old school Spencer Rattler stock laying around from back in the day. Going back to the Oklahoma run. And then what was that first half against Georgia at South Carolina? He had like 1 half against Georgia where he was really good. We maybe doubled down on a little bit of stock there as well. But, I mean, Spencer Rattler's on our watch list, of course. Josh Dobbs. Throw Josh Dobbs on our watch list. Who doesn't love watching Josh Dobbs? In a great NBA matchup. Oh, the Thunder missing the 3. So, I mean, they're definitely leaving the door open for the Celtics. This is where that second, and I guess that's where ultimately Chet probably, like we're saying, is going to be making a difference. Is actually having that second shot maker, not just having another guy that's great at doing all the stuff. Pause. But Chet's shot making ability, I think, is a little underrated as well too. Hopefully he's able to return from injury and be good. Chet, don't be sluggish. I mean, do be sluggish because it benefits the Spurs, but also, we're putting a lot of stock in your offensive ability when you return from injury. So don't let us down. Don't be back and be like, oh, my leg or whatever, and start bricking shots. We don't need excuses. Dort for 3. Killer, chat. Back up by 9. 2 minutes left. He's keeping his spot in the final lineup. He's just a big shot maker, chat. He hasn't really had a chance to have a ton of moments, but, I mean, Dort's built to be a playoff guy. Oh, there's another one, chat. Back to back. Pause. I mean, Dort looks like he'll go back to back. Make no mistake. Hey, yo, chat. But he does it from the corner there. 188. They're going to take the Celtics down by double digits. Tatum draws the foul, and they've been getting a friendly whistle as well, too. I feel like they're winning the total free throw count so far. Let's see. Can we get some team stats here for the Celtics? They were definitely leading at halftime. Free throws. 18 for 21 for Boston. 11 of 13 for OKC. So, Tatum and Brown getting to the rim they're still at least getting that respect from the refs. I mean, Tatum 7 for 15. He really, I guess we were saying Brown was aggressive early in this game, but you could see that early in this game. But you could see that Tatum was definitely maybe a little bit more chill. But with Porzingis back, there's going to be that extra balance. He's going to take some more shots than Horford, of course. Holiday 0 for 4 from 3. Not going to help. And that Tatum free throws, cut it to 10. I'm sure if the series went back to Boston, chat, we'd be feeling good about the Celtics. But if this was the finals, I mean, you can't complain. Shea and Tatum, a couple of young guys. And if Tatum was back in the finals, maybe there would start to be a bandwagon thing happen with him. Because you can get a boring guy. Like, people will jump on a boring bandwagon, I think. Right, chat? I mean, did this not happen in Boston with Brady? Did Brady not sweep the nation as a nationwide bandwagon as maybe not the most charming career? I mean, and Brady is a charming guy. Brady's a great guy. Brady did the roast. Like, he loves having a good time. And, post-playing career, goofy Brady. We love a goofy, silly Tom Brady. Make no mistake. We're all in. But, playing days, Tom Brady in the media, the commercial. It's not like he was putting himself out there for a majority of his career in the young days as a guy that was, like saying, being that marketable type player. But, I mean, when Brady was at the peak of his powers, even when Brady was, even in those not winning years, because you think about just like the timeline for our lives, like we weren't necessarily, the memories of those early Patriots Super Bowls are not going to stick in our brains. But he goes from those first 3 all the way till that, that third or fourth iteration of the Patriots team with later Gronkowski, with Edelman in the Falcons, against the Eagles, against the Seahawks. And then he finally is able to win those couple more rings again. But how long was it in between those years, chat? And they were getting back to the Super Bowl as well, too. And, I mean, they were dominant teams. He had an undefeated team in there. He won a couple of league MVPs. Like, I mean, Brady was cooking, of course. But in that time when they weren't even winning Super Bowls, like, that was the number one bandwagon team that we just knew people were jumping. Like, we knew people in California. We had family members in California rooting for the Patriots. We had people that we knew in Iowa that were like, they were just, they were that America's bandwagon team for a while, same way the Cowboys had been for so long. And then eventually, I think, of course, that Legion of Boom Seahawks team comes along. And even though Brady ends up getting the Super Bowl victory over them, I think they kind of stole the bandwagon-y, trendy, kids are jumping on and gravitating toward this team. That's kind of the team that, at least the people in our lives, that was the bandwagon team for us, was the people we knew were jumping on that Seahawks team. But again, Brady wasn't being like that super marketable guy. He was just winning, and you knew that if you were a fan of Tom Brady, you could definitely count on, your happiness at the end of the day as a fan. So shout out OKC, man. 105-92. Staying strong at home. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, an MVP performance. What was the final numbers here for Shai? He was 30 plus 33 for the game. 11 of 23 from the field. 33 and 11. 6, 3 and 2. Filling up the whole stat sheet, Chad. Shai. What's he going to have to say in the captions after this game? What will Shai have to say? You can use that, SGA. Use that as part of your bars. We're already writing your rhyme schemes for you. But Case and Wallace as well, too. I mean, the whole starting lineup, you see that they dominated the game, chat. Jalen Williams not necessarily shooting well, but defensively active tonight. And Aaron Wiggins, I mean, every time he checks in, just explosive minutes. 6 for 9. Putting up 10 shots in 20 minutes almost. But it was working, chat. 15 points. I mean, you'll take the efficiency for sure. But like we're saying, I mean, Pritchard, we know he's sneaky important to this Celtics team. 0 for 5 tonight's not quite going to cut it. But Tatum's probably going to need to be in the finals, maybe 20-ish shots a game. Brown, I think, at 19 is in a pretty good range. Even though Derek White, when he's cooking, and he's just been taking a lot of shots this year as well, too. 2 for 11. Is Derek White really the thing that killed him, honestly, in this game? What were they for a team? Yeah, 19% for the team, but yikes, Derek White accounted for 9 of those misses. Not good for the Celtics there, but shout out OKC. Let's see when their next matchup is, chat. They have to have, what, at least 2 or 3 this year? Let's take a look. Because I believe this is their... Is this their first one? I don't remember them playing as earlier in the season, but maybe that's our bad. It definitely could be. But, oh. Wrong year. Still haven't officially gotten into the double-digit losses yet, though, for OKC as well. 29-5, chat. Crushing it. Let's see. Yeah, I think that was actually their first game against Boston. So one more matchup, March 12th, chat. We've got a ways to go near the end of the season. And they've got the Knicks. Okay, they've got the Knicks again soon. Next Friday. Right, chat? Another watch party? Oh, technically this Friday. Yeah. Back to back. Knicks Thunder watch parties, chat. Let's go. And then a couple of the easier teams in there. Whoa, look at this run, though, now, chat. I mean, this is crazy. What are we looking at? Oh, it's not going to give us the... Here. See if we can go to game logs. Let's see how much the Thunder have been cooking on this latest stretch. This is crazy, chat. Shout out to Houston for the one win that they were able to get. So last 19 games, they're 18-1. Outscoring opponents, but they have a net rating of almost 14 points. 35% from 3. But yeah, it is the defense, chat. I think they have the best defense overall in the league. So that's barely a little bit better than their season average so far, but the offense is well too. Explosive on top of that. 22 free throws a game at almost 76%. Oh, that's for the opponents. What have they been doing? Okay, 80% at 19 a game. Okay, a little foul heavy lately, I guess, for OKC. 19 fouls to 18. But they are just dominating the league right now, chat. OKC, they've got everybody wiped down right now. Couple of losses there early. But nobody can stop them. And this is the gauntlet in their schedule, too. This is when they're playing all of the tough teams. And they have just proved in back-to-back wins. And, I mean, Clippers, I mean, look at this run as well, too. I know they get Charlotte in here. Indiana's a playoff team, but Memphis is number 2. Minnesota is still in the mix as a playoff team. Clippers are a playoff team. Knicks are top of the Eastern Conference right now. You know, top 3 seed over there. So they have just, I think, kind of stamped their place as the number 1 team in the league. I know we were kind of keeping that spot open for Boston because of the playoff resume that they have, because this team won the title. But you know what else this team does have a history of, chat? Losing in the playoffs as well. Are we just going to go right back to doubting them? This is what Boston needed. Boston needed a performance where we would not feel so good about this team. Okay, not a couple of great choices here in terms of NBA games. Wizards Pelicans or Hornets Cavs, we might actually have to go with Wizards Pelicans. I feel like we've watched the Hornets a little bit recently. We can give the Pelicans and Wizards some love. Alex Sarr versus, well, probably not Zion, but Alex Sarr versus DeJounte Murray versus CJ McCollum. Riveting action, chat. But, I mean, the Boston Celtics, they do have a playoff history, but they're not. And, you know, sometimes with these playoff teams as well, too, like you get a team like, you know, when Golden State first emerges with Steph and Clay in that group, like they kind of won on their first season where they really bursted out like that. Like they had the season before where they had the upset in the playoffs and, you know, they were a feisty team and they definitely put everybody on notice. But then that next season back as contenders, that first season, they, you know, ripped through the league. Steph won the MVP and they ended up winning the title. And you could go for, you didn't necessarily have playoff scarring with them in the same way that you do with this. And, you know, you do need a little ups and downs. You need to, of course, you know, build up in the playoffs. You're not going to win it on your first run through. Like we're saying, the Warriors did have that previous run, but that was still a run as them as like the underdogs and not really expecting anything. And the Celtics did have that run too. They had that when they made it with the Eastern Conference Finals with Tatum. And, you know, Kyrie was out. Was that the same year that Hayward got hurt as well, too? And, you know, it just seemed like it was going to be a disastrous year. They signed all these great guys, and then everybody's hurt. But then it's like, hey, wait a second. This young core of Tatum and Brown is turning into something. And, you know, next thing you know, they're in Game 7, almost upsetting LeBron James and the Cavaliers. And then, you know, the playoff runs that kind of followed after that. Maybe there's a few in there as well, too. But, you know, the last recent handful of playoff runs, like they've been making those runs as the contenders. So the fact they were able to break through and finally able to get one, and Tatum and Brown, they cement their spot in NBA history. Like that's all great stuff. I think the NBA community at large was pretty happy. I mean, like this was about as happy I think the NBA community could have been for a Boston title, like a Boston sports title and a Celtics title. They felt pretty good about Tatum and Brown and that combo. Like eventually, like we're saying, turn around and winning a championship. But they do have moments of, you know, we've seen it not go their way. And of course, you know, the Golden State, like we're saying, they didn't win the title every year. But it seemed like every year that they were capable and every year that they were a contending team, like what are the real, I mean, and maybe it's the fact where it's like the disappointing years for the Warriors is like they were just way too disappointing. You know, the one year they totally fall off and they're the number 2 pick, and you know, ultimately that doesn't even really help them win the title that much. But, you know, they are still able to bounce back, and Steph's able to get that title and that Finals MVP. But we trust them, but there is that in the back of our mind of, you know, they're not. And we were saying that going into the season as well, too. Like, I don't think the league was looking at Boston like terrified. Like, they were looking at them with respect and looking at them with, you know, with I think a proper knowledge of how good they were. Like, yeah, these guys are at the top of the league right now, but it wasn't that team of, oh, all of a sudden we're shaking in our boots about how good the Celtics team can be. And again, it's not disrespect. Like Derek White's an awesome player. He's making a case and has made his case to be an all-star this year, Chad, in the Eastern Conference. Like he's having a really, really good season. And he's a really good three-point shooter. And when he's cooking, I mean, the team is even more dangerous. Like we're saying, he wasn't playing well tonight with his 2 for 11. We know how dangerous Tatum and Brown are. But, I mean, this Thunder team, chat, is Shea the best player on the court? I mean, you know, with all due respect to Tatum and Brown, again, Shea might be the MVP of the league this year. Like, Shea might just straight up be the guy that is playing the best in the league right now. I don't know. Can we even say that with as good as Wemby is playing? And, of course, Jokic and Giannis, I mean, are probably actually 1 and 2. But, you know, just offensively, the bucket making, the confidence, and then where his team is at in the rankings, all that stuff. Like, we get it. That's why Shea is probably number 1 on that ladder right now. But he's just in his unstoppable mode right now, chat. And the depth around him is playing well. And they're going to have Chet coming back. So I don't know why this team wouldn't be considered the number one team in the league. I guess it just would still be at the end of the day that, like we're saying, that Boston starting five, especially, Holiday as well too, wasn't, playing great from three as well. But what have his numbers been this year? Let's get a Holiday percentage check. And of course, he's not maybe a 50, 40, 90 guy for his career. Okay, is he cooking this year? Oh, no, Chad. Yeah, he is way down. See, last year at 43% in the regular season. And even the years before that, since being traded to Milwaukee, so since he's kind of been in a contending teams, these last 4 seasons, he's been 40% from three. He has been almost a 50-40. I see we take it back, Chad. We love Drew Holiday. I don't know why we even doubted him with the stats there for a second. 49, 40, 80. I mean, the man's been a baller. But this year, of course, down a little bit. So maybe that will be an interesting thing because Pritchard was not playing well either. Again, just a lot of not shooting from the three-pointer today for Boston. So, you can always have that in the back of your mind. As a Boston fan, chalk this one up to the old strategy. But Sarr versus Missy, that's right, chat. We forgot about Missy, the Pelicans rookie. Wow, so a real, big man showdown. Will this be on Hardwood Classics one day? There's going to be like a young, Shaq versus, I guess Shaq versus Hakeem. Like Hakeem wouldn't have been a young center at that time. But just a young Shaq versus a young Chris Webber matched up in the late 90s, mid 90s. Then the next game on Hardwood Classics immediately is just Alex Sarr versus Yves Missy. What are the odds, chat? Will that end up happening? Is this the game we're about to see? Who knows? You just never know. That's the beautiful thing with the NBA, chat. You just never know. And even if this game is awesome, like, who knows if, we'll get a Missy Sarr in classic status at some point. We'll have to play their full careers out to actually see. But, in certain matchups for Boston, if Pritchard is actually shooting well, maybe there is potential, lineup change possibilities. And like you're saying, you could go with the two bigs as well. So if you run a Porzingis, Horford lineup with Tatum and Brown, then you're down to Derek White at that point. If you want to maybe run something supersized. But I don't know if they're going to run two bigs like that, especially against this OKC team, if this would be like the finals matchup team. But you think against the other young teams as well that they're potentially going to be matched up against. Like OKC's at the top of the West right now. I know Memphis and Houston feel more like regular season teams at this point. It does really feel like OKC is kind of got a chokehold on the West right now. Who's in that 4 spot? Dallas is number 5. The Lakers are up to number 4, chat. So, LeBron, AD. I think AD would be the one guy that you go matchup-wise who could really... I mean, Jokic, of course, too. But Jokic doesn't have LeBron next to him at this point. Would this actually be a good year for the Lakers to play the Nuggets in a playoff series? What a disaster if the Lakers actually were the better team in the regular season. It felt like the Nuggets just, nothing's going right. The team around Jokic is completely falling apart. The money that they've spent is just going to be no good. But, they'll still just beat the Lakers in the playoffs. Maybe that's what'll end up happening. But they're number 4 right now, chat. That is interesting. Because we know we don't have faith in Denver. Dallas, Luka is out, and I think Luka and Kyrie as a playoff duo, like we've seen what Luka can do, but I just don't know if I'm buying Dallas stock again. Maybe the Clippers as well. Kawhi is back. They looked good the other night. They really took down the Hawks. Kawhi wasn't even necessarily shooting that well, but his impact, his defense, I think you could see him, immediately impacting the lineup right away. There was a chance that maybe it's like, are we going to get like a limp around Kawhi? A limp Kawhi. Whoa, chat. Pause. Sorry. I'm trying to be professional here. But Is there a chance that are we going to get like a injured, battles scarred Kawhi Leonard that is just piled up too much at this point, and maybe he's not going to be the same player, but he looked like he was moving around pretty good. I'm not going to lie. And the thing is, with Kawhi, he's got unfortunately degenerative injuries, so he'll just get injured at some point later in the season. But when he does check back in those first couple of times, you're always like, man, Kawhi, why can't you play more? But it's like, oh yeah, once he actually starts playing, like he'll get health. Because now I actually after reading about some of the the Ellen degenerative stuff that he's been doing with his injuries, like you actually do feel bad for him, because it's like, yeah, once you get back to the point where you're starting to get healthy and then you are playing, like you're just gonna redegenerate. Whoa, is that a new word? You're just gonna redegenerate all of your injuries again. You're just like, yeah, you just fall apart and you're not going to be able to maintain a whole season. So who knows how they'll be able to pace him out through the regular season. Maybe, the league is trying to crack down on some of this load management stuff, but maybe they'll look the other way for Kawhi. Maybe they can probably submit some pretty good x-rays at this point. Be like, no, this guy's knees, he needs to take a break. The man can get the time off due to some of the doctor's notes. Make no mistake. But maybe with him back as well, too, the veteran presence of that team is something to watch out for. But let's not just totally discount LA. Maybe the Finney Smith thing will be good for him, chat. I mean, he's an immediate upgrade over Russell, which I don't think we actually reacted to that when it ended up happening. Which now it's like, I think they gave up like 3 seconds for that as well, too. Kind of tough when you have to just start stockpiling so many seconds in, because it's like, once you give up that many seconds, like how many more moves do you even get to bring in role players like Finney Smith at that point? You've sacrificed even that kind of stuff. You don't just have 4 or 5 more seconds laying around to do a couple more of these trades. But as just from a lineup standpoint, the Russell to Finney Smith thing, it'll be nice for him. You get a wing in there with some shooting, the defense, all that, and connect as well too. Make no mistake, the man can take over offensively for where D'Angelo Russell left off. I think that'll be perfectly fine. We've seen Reeves' offense and playmaking and all that stuff even take a little bit more of a step up here as of late. And, losing Maxwell Lewis is I'm not going to lie, maybe a little, that could be interesting. You never know. We have a little bit of Maxwell Lewis stock over here. That's a nice little get for the Nets. Hopefully he's actually able to play. I can just see it right now. I just moving from one bench to the other, moving from one G League squad to the next. But we're holding out hope, Maxwell Lewis. If you're locked in on the stream right now, if for some reason you're not listening to or watching, Kai Cenat stream and you're turned on to the REMINGTOM pod stream, pause. We're all in. We're still rooting for you, and we believe that Brooklyn is a good home. Hopefully there wasn't like a report that they just released him like immediately after the trade. But I think, the 3 seconds are nice, but Russell, maybe you flip him into something down the line. Who knows? But Maxwell Lewis is kind of the centerpiece of that deal, chat. Let's be honest. It's essentially a Maxwell Lewis for Finney Smith trade if you're Brooklyn. You're banking on the younger wing talent, maybe a little more shot creation ability as well too. But yeah, I think OKC, it's not even really close anymore in the Western Conference. Not that it was before, but watching them against Boston, hang with them the way that they did, and they definitely have played Cleveland. I feel like they've gotten New York and Boston out of the way. But let's get a refresher here. When did they? Oh, they don't play the Cavs. Oh, wow. So they play the Cavs. So this is really the Eastern Conference gauntlet for the Thunder. Wow. So they do get the home games with the Knicks and the Celtics. And then, maybe if you're going to go to one arena, maybe the Cleveland one's the one to go to. Sorry, Cleveland fans. You're not MSG or Boston. Whoa. The Cleveland community of the REMINGTOM pod is going to be livid. We deserve it. We're taking cheap shots, but Cleveland and then the Knicks again. So a nice little refresher game for the Wizards after that. The poor Wizards are just, is that where, if you're Washington, do you want that game or do you not want that game? They go Grizzlies, Timberwolves, Clippers, Knicks, Celtics, Cavs, Knicks. And then you've got to be the rebound game. It's like, are they going to just unload on the Wizards, or this is going to be everybody takes the night off and Jordan Poole's like, wait a second, now I'm going against Ousmane Dieng? This is maybe a little bit easier than I thought. But, maybe we can take the Thunder in the playoffs. Who knows? But I guess this is their chance to really prove themselves as that number one team. Even if they lose to Cleveland, 2 out of the 3 teams in the East they beat, it's pretty impressive. And then, 2 pretty intense games like that where, you look at the scores here, like they were able to pull away a little bit. 10-point games for both wins is pretty nice. But, they had to do work in the fourth quarter to pull away. And maybe against Cleveland, staring down another Knicks game as well, too. Maybe there's just a letdown game in there. But what did we say? They were 18 for 19. So how many in a row is this, chat? We could do quick math. What are we looking at? Like 13 in a row? 14 in a row? 15 in a row with this Boston win? So there is a good streak here going as well that maybe they're going to take pride in. Could they get to 20 games? There's no way they get to 20. Cleveland and the Knicks, they're going to win both those games again? Now we're going to have to start rooting against OKC. It's just an emotional battle. We love OKC. We love all the players on OKC, but they are a big rival to the Spurs and, really the one team that we're scared about for the future for sure. Not the one team, but, it's a scary team to match up against and try to build a team to overcome. But, they're at 15, 16, 17. That would be 18 if Washington's not able to, Jordan Poole doesn't drop 40. With Case and Wallace in the lineup. Case and Wallace, though, you may be able to lock down Jordan Poole. What is 16? Oh, geez. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 again at Cleveland? Wow, chat. Could they win 20 in a row? And then at that point, you're talking about, historic stretches. I forget. Is Miami's at 26? Oh, theirs is like 30, right? Or no, Miami's isn't the number one. The Lakers is number one with 33. Miami won 27. Oh, there's the third longest win streak. Who's got that second one? It's not Golden State, is it? Lakers hold the longest. The only other teams that have won 20 or more are the Heat. Okay, so yeah, the Heat are second. And then the Rockets are third. Let's see. Oh, no, yeah. Golden State was 28 because it went across a couple of seasons. Right? So they won 24 plus 4. Is that what they're saying? Entirely of regular season games. Yeah, chat. Across the 14 and 15 seasons. But if in terms of in-season win streaks, the Lakers, the Heat, the Rockets. So where are the Thunder at right now? Put them on the list, chat. They've got to be up there. I guess they're at 15 right now with this Boston. So they need to get one more to get on the list. Milwaukee a couple years ago, yeah, with the 16er. Remember that? We should. It was a couple seasons ago, that Phoenix 18 win streak. Milwaukee again. The Giannis regular season dominance, people. I'm telling you. I mean, I don't know why I feel like he's just even 2% overlooked is too much, chat. But they're knocking on the door of a historic win streak here. So of course this is now, any year it's the team that goes on this type of streak is the team to look out for. But obviously. But now history is on the line, chat. Potential history if they get through this. And we'd have to go back and look at, some of the teams that the Heat played and stuff through those games. But they're playing good teams, I feel. I mean, you play 27 games. You're not going to play 27 bad matchups in a row. even with potential injuries and resting and load management, especially maybe handful of years ago as well too, as it really, was getting out of control. Ooh, Champagne hitting a 3. Are we in for a battle here, Chad? It's 7-8, Pelicans Wizards. I'm telling you. Even this might be more exciting than some of the quarterback play that we had today. Like we mentioned, the list of guys that did make an appearance. Oh, come on. But let's see here, going through the games, which, yeah, shout out to Rod Mayo. R.I.P., brother. R.I.P. Robert Kraft. He had, I don't know if we want to start putting Robert Kraft and grooming in the same sentence, but, it seemed like he had been working toward making Gerard Mayo his head coach for a long time. He was going to succeed Bill Belichick. He was going to take over the franchise. He was a homegrown kid. But unfortunately, things just did not work out. Gerard Mayo just could not be, he just was not able to obey the rules of the team at all this year. He could not win a game when the team wanted, and then all year they're losing games. They get to this spot where it's like, okay, you know what? Maybe the season was a strategic and just executional disaster for the way that these games were played. But at the end of the day, it's like Drake May is good, and we may have a chance to get the number 1 pick. And what does Gerard Mayo do? He goes out there and wins in Week 18, loses the Patriots' number 1 pick. I think the Titans now have the number 1 pick. Let's see where the Patriots actually fell to, chat. I think they're still in the top 5. Maybe even, okay, top 4. So you're going to have still potentially 2 quarterbacks off the board. Unfortunately, Travis Hunter may not be, but you cannot be mad about getting McMillan, chat. Maybe they secretly are already looking at the drafts and it's like, if we want to take a receiver, is McMillan our guy? Who knows? But I don't know, Chad. Does he become he'll be a defensive coordinator, right? I mean, I guess he'll be a positional coach for sure. But did he actually have defensive coordinator duties at one point in his career? Or did he just go straight from linebacker coach? He did, chat. Played in New England from 2008 to 2015. And then from 2019 to 2024 was the inside linebacker coach. And we know that, especially in this last handful of years here with Bill Belichick, the way that the coaching staff was constructed was a little unconventional with some of the roles that the guys had. But we know that I don't think he ever really had that supervisor role on defense as well. Let me see, chat. Okay, that's for... It's just going to give us his... Yeah, literally just he was the linebacker coach for the Patriots. Because what they had Matt Patricia there for a while, and then his kid was the defensive coordinator as well. Right? Steven Belichick, who I believe is now back on Belichick's staff. Make no mistake, he wasted no time. Yeah, he's the defensive coordinator at Washington, but I believe he has been touted. Is that the right word, chat? He's been picked to go join his dad over in North Carolina. Patriots moved Stevens from safety to outside linebackers. Promoted his brother Brian to safeties coach. Maybe Brian was the guy. But I feel like one of his brothers was one of his sons, Belichick's kids, was the defensive guy. So I guess he's a highly sought after linebackers coach on the market, chat. And I feel like, to get the head coach experience as well at this stage in your career, like, again, he's only 38. And he just got done playing football literally 5 years ago. So he's still a pretty new coach in the coaching cycle. Maybe a little McDaniels-y, chat. The defensive McDaniels. Maybe he got the head coach gig a little bit too soon. But you bring him back in. He's a linebacker coach. He works there a couple years. He gets the defensive gig. He'll be right back in the mix, chat. Make no mistake. In like 6 years, Gerard Mayo will get a head coach job again. Because this, like I'm saying, I think this can kind of help him. I know that maybe in a job interview, he's not going to want anybody to watch the tape of the team that he coached. But in a potential matchup against another, like what are we saying, 6-7 years, chat, he's going to be, like when he's 45, against another 45-year-old, a guy that has never ever been a head coach versus Gerard Mayo has at least gone through the, he's at least been it. He's been in that role. He knows what the duties at least call for. And there's something as well, too, about the guy that in the second chance, maybe, hopefully in the area at which, the before that second chance, pre-second chance, maybe he's kind of thinking about it as well, too. You can think about how you would be a head coach, I'm sure, if you're an assistant head coach, but actually being in there and doing it and then it not working out, the way you can process how you're going to approach your next job is just going to be different. Like we're saying, you've already had that experience. So maybe it can help him out as well, too, chat. It was only one season. The roster wasn't that great either. We know that, make no mistake, I don't think it was maximized to any degree. But it wasn't like they were doing him any favors with the talent that they were bringing in. Now, the fact that this happened so quickly, maybe this just improves, how things were truly feeling in the front office. Does it say? But yeah, this is where you would feel like they're probably going to start their search. So it says here in this ESPN article, do we have to get the paragraph number here, chat? In one of these paragraphs. Quote, Robert Kraft and team president Jonathan Kraft will now begin a search for Patriots' 16th head coach, with former New England linebacker and Tennessee head coach Mike Vrabel among the candidates they are expected to interview. And we, unquote. And we saw earlier that Mike Vrabel, I believe, is expected to interview with the Jets as well, which, make no mistake, shout out to the Jets for going after one of the better head coaching candidates on the market, if not the best one. But if you're Vrabel, and you're going to assume that maybe a job or two, there's going to be maybe a second or third option that's going to approach you. Like, the Jets job is not an attractive job for Mike Vrabel. And maybe that just proves that the Jets are trying to get ahead of everybody. And maybe if we get to him first, it's like the recruitment thing. Maybe he'll feel good. They reached out to me first. Maybe, I don't know if they're ready to offer him a ton of money that nobody's going to be able to. I don't know what the plans are. But I thought I saw that. We should double check. Fact check ourselves here real quick. Mike Vrabel's interview went well, but there's a catch. Whoa, what's the catch, chat? What does Clutch Point say the catch is? What does Mike Vrabel need to catch? He's the head coach. He's not the receiver. IT wrote that one down. I told him it wouldn't work. I told him it was a bad idea. New York Jets looking for a head coach. At least one person has shown interest to be a strong candidate. Former NFL player and coach Mike Vrabel reportedly had a good interview with the team per NFL Network. Vrabel coached with the Titans 2018 to 2023. Oh, geez. If we play this clip from NFL Network, are we going to get copyright strikes? YouTube, grow up! We're just trying to get the news out. Are we just going to have to, sing a little song over it or something? I don't know, chat. Vrabel is considered one of the top candidates for the Jets who continue their search. Raiders owner Mark Davis is undecided on the future of Antonio Pierce. The Browns fired Ken Dorsey again on the move. Shout out to Ken Dorsey. Lost the Bills job. And you're going to look at the Browns offense and go, yeah, it makes sense he would lose this job. But I don't think his quarterback situation was that great either. Oh, the catch, however, Vrabel is considered possibly the greatest candidate available in the coaching cycle, so he's going to be available to other teams. Yes, I would agree that is a catch. Okay, makes sense. The catch is the Jets are interested in Vrabel, but Vrabel is not interested in the Jets. So, yeah, he did have the interview. Of course, you would assume that he would crush that interview as well. But I don't know where the Patriots would rank amongst the potential head coaching vacancies. But Drake May in terms of quarterbacks amongst those vacancies, would have to be way up there. Let's see if we can remember who else has an opening or maybe potentially. Because, of course, the Saints made a move in season already with letting go of Dennis Allen, bringing in Darren Rizzi. So if they're not going to lock down Rizzi for the long term, if they're not going to bring in the Rizzler for the future, maybe that's a potential team. But what are they going to do at quarterback as well? So, yeah, we know the Saints. We know the Bears. We know the Jets. We know the Patriots. And, again, we're looking – if you're just tuning in, we're looking at potential head coaching vacancies. Now, Seahawks, no. Falcons, probably not. Maybe the Cowboys, chat. There's been some talk about McCarthy as well, so that could be a wait and see. Arizona could definitely be a wait and see. We'll mark the Cowboys as a potential. I think the Niners, we're not going to put the Niners in the category because even if we could get Takey and maybe want them to do some stuff, I don't think they're going to try to do anything super dramatic this offseason, at least from a front office establishment standpoint. Who knows with Purdy, but I think as of right now, Shanahan and John Lynch are safe. Maybe Canales and Daboll are safe as well, too. The Browns fired their OC, so is Stefanski going to go as well? I don't know. Callahan. Peterson somehow clinging on for his life. Somehow Mayo, I don't know, Mayo going before Peterson, is that a little shocking? Should we just double check and make sure? Shout out to Doug Peterson. Somehow still the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It doesn't, but Doug Peterson fired is the #1 Google search. Look at that, chat. Nothing. No report whatsoever. Wait, did Schefter say something? Apparently there's some good news here, chat, for the Jags. Latest Adam Schefter reported Doug Peterson fired. Yikes. Doug Peterson survived the final week of the regular season. Is one of the bigger upsets of the 2024 season. So Schefter just said that Peterson recognized that this could be his last game. So Peterson knows. Even Peterson's like kind of surprised right now that he's the head coach. But I guess potentially we're gonna mark the Jags. We're gonna say the Jags. Like we said, the Raiders are uncertain. And the Colts, they're gonna bring Steichen back. I think the Bengals are probably gonna bring Taylor back. And the Dolphins might make the playoffs. So who knows if they bring McDaniels back or not. But as of right now, would these be kind of the definite teams, chat? I don't know. Would there be something crazy in the playoffs? Maybe maybe Sirianni, chat. What would be the craziest playoff team to make a move? The Bucks? I don't see I guess maybe Tomlin or something. If someone got really crazy with Tomlin, chat. I think everybody in the playoffs, of course, would be safe for this year. But yeah, if we were looking at Jets, Raiders, Jags, Patriots, Cowboys, Saints, Bears, May and Caleb Williams, of course, are going to be the two rookie quarterbacks to choose from. In terms of young guys, you've also got Trevor Lawrence in the mix if you have Trevor Lawrence stock. And then the Raiders dropped to 7 in the draft. So, and then they might, I guess they're not going to beat the Chargers. Chargers are up by 10 now. They were winning that game earlier, though. Being feisty. But they're not going to get a rookie quarterback this year, so maybe you'd be looking for next year for your potential future quarterback. But if your choices are between Trevor Lawrence, Drake May, and Caleb Williams, chat, I think you got to go with Drake May. And you just think about the team building advantage that he gives you as well, too. Like signing up for a team where your quarterback is on a rookie contract versus Trevor Lawrence is on a bit of a payday right now. And maybe Trevor Lawrence does still have higher upside than Drake May. I'm not saying that he does. If you want to make the case, it's totally fine. I get it. But I would still lean Drake May, and I would lean Drake May over Caleb Williams at this point. And you've got Joe Milton to choose from. Would you take Joe Milton over Caleb Williams at this point, Chad? I don't know how bad it's gotten, even though they did get the win in Green Bay today. So, like that article said, you would assume that interview would happen soon. And the fact that this move was made so quickly, maybe they have good knowledge that Mayo would like this job the most, or Vrabel would like this job the most as well. I mean, Mayo would like the Patriots job, I'm sure, if they'd offered it back. But I don't think the coaching hire process is going to go that poorly for New England. Has that ever happened, Chat? Where a team fires their coach, think they're going to get an upgrade, and then just look around and go, "Wait a second, all the good guys got hired. Can you come back? Can you have us back?" I feel like that would have happened to like Marv Lewis at some point. And he's like, shucks, yeah, I'll go back as a head coach. It doesn't matter. It's all good, guys. But unless Vrabel's going to go to Dallas just for the marketing standpoint, I don't know if Jerry Jones, again, with the money, I don't know what he would offer him. Same with the Raiders, if Mark Davis just wants to offer Vrabel like a super big bag. But if you're looking at situation, and it would just have to be at this point, I think, quarterback related because, the Jets have a good roster. I think they have some pieces. The Raiders have Max Crosby, the same with Jags with Josh Allen, like Micah Parsons. Every team at least has an edge defenders to go around, to build around. But there's definitely, outside of the quarterback, maybe better roster pieces on these other teams. But I think Drake May alone might lend himself to be the more favorable situation. So if you're Vrabel, I think you got to look at that Patriot situation as the best one that could potentially be available. Unless, like we're saying, unless the Steelers somehow became available. And I don't know, Chad. Tomlin at 10-7 this year. Maybe Steelers fans can still point at the quarterback. Russell Wilson at the end of the day is like falling down inbounds with no excuse, just making poor clock management decisions at the end of the games. And I don't know how much you can point at Tomlin for that type of stuff, but the team has been sloppy. The team's been underperforming. They're definitely on a bit of a losing streak. And the fact that the Steelers team always seems to end up in the same spot every year, it's like, okay, do we kind of know do we know what the ceiling of a Mike Tomlin team is? And maybe we don't, again, because Tomlin doesn't have that truly elite quarterback, or that quarterback that's going to make some winning plays at the end of the game and not fall down in bounds. And just let the clock run out when you're trying to drive down for the win. But, we kind of have seen this version of a Steelers team for what has seemed like a really long time now, Chad. I mean, let's take a look here at the recent history for the Steelers. Yeah, I mean, that 12-4 season, but this last one, this is the season where they started off hot and then just fell apart down the stretch, right, chat? Lost in the wild card round to Cleveland. Yeah, lost 4 of their last 5. Only Indy, of course, was the win that they got there. But outside of that 12-game stretch where they were playing some bad quarterbacks, chat, maybe some easy matchups, maybe some games that they should have won. I mean, look at these last handful of years. Credit to the winning record. There's been some disastrous quarterbacks in here. It's like saying there's Rudolph, some end of the Roethlisberger, like Pickett. We get it, but it's tough, chat. 9-6, 8-8, 9-7, 9-8, 10-7, 10-7. It's just a lot of the same. So again, the quarterback list on the other side is maybe it makes perfect sense. It corresponds exactly with the amount of wins. You go, okay, Roethlisberger at the end of his tenure, Mason Rudolph, Roethlisberger's hurt this year, 2 years of Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson probably at the end of the day is a 10-7 quarterback. Like, I don't really know how much more juice you think you're going to squeeze out of this guy at the end of his career. Pause. But we're throwing out the most crazy hypotheticals, if we're trying to advise Vrabel and a guy for this type of situation. But even still, chat, would you rather go to the Steelers right now, or would you rather go to the Patriots with Drake May? That might be crazy. I think the Steelers, that organization, of course, has shown more consistency than the Patriots. The Patriots outside of the Belichick years. We know what that record for the franchise is. But roster situation, the starting point, 21st pick in the draft if you're Pittsburgh. I don't know. Like if you're Pittsburgh and you knew you could do an interview with Mike Vrabel, he'd look at you and go, yeah, I would absolutely take the job. This is the place I want to be. I think this is the best run organization of, any team in the league. I love the history. This is exactly where I want to be a part of. Would you even move on from Tomlin to bring in Mike Vrabel? I think maybe there's a segment of people that would think that Vrabel would be a better coach than Tomlin, but I still think you need to give the man a chance with the quarterback situations. I still think you would easily go, yeah, they have the third best quarterback in the division. That's not even a question, behind Burrow and Lamar. And, the Browns, the only reason the Browns haven't been up there is because their quarterback situation is one of the most disastrous in the league. At least the Steelers just have an average middling quarterback situation. And again, I think being 10-7, Tomlin's still finding a way to get there. It's still maybe the defense at the end of the day. TJ Watt, where do we actually give credit? But I just think that you got to continue to roll the dice with Tomlin. Maybe it's a little Harbaugh-y with him at Michigan. But, if Vrabel is the only guy that is going to be an upgrade. Even if you could go with one of the younger candidates, if you go with like Ben Johnson or something. But, it'd have to be a trade for another head coach. It's like, maybe like Kevin O'Connell. Like, I don't even know what the move would be to upgrade over Tomlin. Like, realistically, even at this point, there's still only a handful of coaches that I would feel better about at the end of the day. Like, I don't even know if I would feel, John Harbaugh. I love what the Ravens have done over the last couple of years, but if you give Tomlin Lamar, is the Steelers not going to be what the Ravens have been? Could the Steelers not lose early in the playoffs every year with Lamar too? I'm pretty sure Tomlin can figure out how to do that, like John Harbaugh's done. So, DeMeco Ryans this year with the Texans, like, I still think we all have a lot of stock in DeMeco Ryans, and maybe that season wasn't as great as we had thought, but I don't know if you can just immediately say now that DeMeco Ryans is like a better head coach than Mike Tomlin. So I know it's a disappointing end of the season. It's a sloppy way to end. The team underperformed. But you're still in the playoffs. Maybe the Steelers locking down the playoff position too early. Charging out, getting too many wins early in the season. May have been a bad thing. Who knows, chat? But I think Tomlin's got to be safe. I still think looking at even McDermott, I would still rather have Tomlin over McDermott if I'm the Bills, I think it's close. I think you could shuffle it around however you want, but to me, there's no definitive upgrade there. Maybe if you're just looking at coaching jobs, like what Sean Payton has done, has Sean Payton established himself? Like, is he the second best coach in the AFC behind Andy Reid? I don't know, Chad. Vrabel, if he's in the AFC, does he just step into the AFC and become the second best coach? I know that's, maybe some disrespect to John Harbaugh with what he's done. And again, Tomlin, of course, too. But, Drake May, Mike Vrabel, would that be the powerhouse matchup to look out for? But maybe Philly. I guess if Philly did somehow become available, and that would be one as well too. Like Pittsburgh, I don't think you would make a move. But if Philly was able to do the secret interview with Vrabel and be like, hey, if we part ways with Sirianni, are you in? Like, can we lock that in guaranteed? Like, can you sign the contract now beforehand and then we fire Sirianni? Is that even legal? Can you legally even interview and like sign a head coach while you have a head coach under contract and then fire your guy? I don't know how that. I don't know. I mean, the NFL is not loyal. We know these businesses will definitely work to screw people over. So my guess is that it would be, but I wouldn't be surprised if, you got to stay loyal to your guy. But if Philly became available, you may have to take the Philly job over any other job. Again, just throwing out the crazy. Maybe they have like a terrible playoff collapse game where they're upset in the first round. Like, I guess right now what they'd be playing 11-5 Green Bay. Like on the AFC or NFC, there's no joke here outside of maybe Tampa at 9-7, but even Tampa can be kind of feisty week to week. So I guess Philly, if that job became available, I think would actually be the best job. But outside of that, chat, I do think if you're Vrabel, you've got to look at that Patriots gig. And I think that's got to be the one that you've got to be staring down. So let's take a quick timeout break. The Pelicans destroying the Wizards right now, chat. We were distracted. And maybe for good reason. What has Sar been doing? Bub Carrington. We're missing our Bub Carrington action. Okay, pause. Whoa, okay. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back, chat. Week 18 in progress. Okay, chat. We've switched over to Magic Jazz for the basketball game. Pelicans Wizards not holding our attention. Broncos Chiefs not holding our attention any well. But, for good reason as well. We need the Broncos to go out and lay the smack down. And I know Sam had faith in Carson Wentz. Jesus, Chad, 91 total yards. I mean, make no mistake, this faith was definitely misplaced. But the man did have a pretty impressive Week 18 last year, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Carson Wentz may have had a chance as, like, the weird Week 18 MVP. Like, the bonus week MVP. Let me see what he did last game. And it was the Rams. It was McVay. So is Carson Wentz sort of like the standard, chat, for best coach? And what did he do? I guess it wasn't even that impressive, chat. 17 of 24 for 163 and 2 touchdowns, a pick. 99.8 quarterback rating. So, it's like he played a pretty decent game with McVay and the Rams. Is this the standard for great coaches? Does McVay have to take the spot over Andy Reid? I know Andy Reid has the Super Bowls at this point, his legacy. He's built himself up. Maybe he catches, Belichick in terms of wins and stuff. Like the man is set in stone as one of the greats. But, Sean McVay did get a better performance out of Carson Wentz. I don't know. Did they have better weapons on the field that day? Like, were Puka and Kupp both out there? Okay, Puka was out there, so that is a credit for Carson Wentz. He was playing with Puka, or that's, points off of McVay's score. Skoranek was out there, Tutu Atwell, Royce Freeman. So make no mistake, they are absolutely resting everybody. But what did Darnold, 16 of 26, 189 and a touchdown. Do we have to go back and watch those highlights, chat? Maybe O'Connell is actually winning best coach in the league, chat. I don't know. Maybe we have to do a rankings for stuff. We should, chat. Maybe it's Tune In Tuesday. Maybe we'll do like a player rankings on Tuesday. Maybe we'll do a coach ranking in there as well. Tune in and find out where Kevin O'Connell will land for the best coaching rankings. But unfortunately, Andy Reid not able to, Matt Nagy as well, not able to get the same performance out of Carson Wentz as McVay did. And I know that Nagy is now starting to get his name in the cycle as well for head coaching candidates. So make no mistake, New England, it's not even like just get Vrabel because it's Vrabel. Like, get Vrabel because, the only other options might be Matt Nagy. I don't know what else you're going to do. Is Ben Johnson going to be the guy, chat? It would have to be one of those other. And shout out to Matt Nagy. Like, go get another bag. Go get a bigger house and a couple more cars on that head coaching contract. But if I'm advising a team, if we opened a consulting firm, I don't know though. With Sam with his Chiefs background, they might be feeding him. They're like, hey, we'll get you a couple more dollars on the side if you tell these teams, if you consult these teams the right way with the Chiefs. But see, then again, what would be the right way? Like, do you want to lose Matt Nagy? I don't know. Maybe Matt Nagy is. It's like it's okay if you want to get the head coaching gig. I get it. Same with Bieniemy as well. Like, make no mistake, Andy Reid is the offensive mastermind with the Chiefs. We know. But they do like bringing in that veteran guy. So maybe Mayo to the Chiefs. Maybe they give Gerard Mayo a shot somewhere. But yeah, if Matt Nagy is in the mix, chat, it's of course Ben Johnson. I'm sure Bobby Slowick's name will be back in there as well. But where else are you gonna go, chat? You would have to you have to go Flores. Flores has to be another guy, right? How does Flores not earn his shot at this point? With the way that Vikings defense has played over the last couple of years, with the way the team has overachieved, and maybe him being around O'Connell as well too. Maybe there's like an infusion of some offensive concepts that he's gotten a hold of. That could be a good thing. But, you're going to look at Cliff Kingsbury, chat. Is that where you want to go? Who is on the Chargers staff right now? I think that's another veteran. Yeah, Greg Roman, Jesse Minter for the defense. So maybe it's Minter's time, chat, to shine. And I think he's got a history with Michigan as well, too. Let's see. We know there was a Minter player. But, no, okay, not with Michigan, but with Baltimore. Okay, so he's with John Harbaugh. Did spend time with one of the Harbaughs. Oh, no, yeah, here we go. Michigan defensive coordinator. We're not stupid, Chad. We know our guys. Kind of. We thought we knew our guys. But Michigan to L.A., Vanderbilt before that with the Ravens. So he's been been in the coaching realms for a long time. Worked his way up from defensive intern to defensive coordinator. See, Mayo kind of went from here to here. Shoots and ladder style. Minter, maybe it's time, chat. Who knows? Maybe Mayo is a guy that should. I mean, would we take Mayo over Matt Nagy? I don't even know, chat. Maybe Matt Nagy's learned a thing or two next to Andy Reid. But that Chargers defense has played really well, too. But I would say Flores would have to be either him or Ben Johnson. See, that's where you have to do the interview process. You'd have to sit down with those guys and see who wins you over. I need to shake hands, chat. We can't even do it over Zoom. Pause. Whoa. We'd have to pause, do it in person. Yikes. We'd have to have the meeting in an office somewhere, coffee shop, shake hands, see what's going on, a couple questions. But, yeah, Slowick as well. Oh, you want to bring Arthur Smith's name back up? I don't know. Is there anybody on the lower end teams? I don't know if there was any assistants down there that were super wowing. And I feel like they would just get promoted, right, chat? Would they just get their other job? But maybe if you want to go Kellen Moore as well. Who's on the Rams staff? We know people are just going to poach McVay's assistants just because. Yeah, Mike LaFleur, he might get some looks. I'm sure there'll be some Mike LaFleur interviews. Rams offensive coordinator for a couple years. Maybe the Jets years you want to look away. Chris Shula? Is it his time? First year as the Rams defensive coordinator. What is Chris Shula? And the Rams defense has, with the way the younger guys have kind of overachieved, that's been pretty impressive. Oh, Shula, chat. Shula. I gotcha. SH. Okay. What is his history? Ball State. Yikes. Defensive coordinator at John Carroll? This isn't even the John Carroll Blue Streaks. What is that? Who names their football team after a turd mark, chat? In a blue streak, what is that, like post a blueberry pie? Maybe post like a beets in a smoothie or something, but then that's, maybe leaning more purple, maybe more red. Do we get a history here? Does it say? Located in Ohio. The Don Shula Stadium. It doesn't say why they're named the Blue Streaks, though. You got to love some of these other names. The Purple Raiders is kind of sick. Mount Union Purple Raiders. But he's had kind of a run as well. 2010, 15 years. Assistant linebacker coach. Maybe that's the place, I guess, to get your head coaches, chat. You've got to start off as the linebacker coach. You're tough. A leader of men. Real grinded out football type guy, But defensive quality with the Chargers, then worked his way up with the Rams. Linebackers again. But he's worked offense and defense. He was pass game coordinator and defensive backs. Oh, pass game coordinator. Okay. Pass rush coordinator last year and linebackers coach. But passing game coordinator? So he's worked a little with the offense too. So maybe Shula over LaFleur. Who knows? Maybe he's got a little more diversity in his coaching skill set. And, of course, Shula, he's got that great – if we're always talking about how we like – players that have the DNA of great players and, the sons and as much as we like the athletes' kids, like maybe a coach's kid as well. I mean, that's what Shanahan is, chat, right? Shanahan, his dad, growing up in that football system, just getting like football plays infused in you as a child. Like, as much as you hate to admit it, chat, like they're just, I mean, and goes every way, but there are just things about childhood that's like, if you're getting those plays subconsciously infused in your brain as like a little kid from day one, because make no mistake, like Mike Shanahan was already coaching football, already in love with football, like already in the, like, I don't know when Kyle Shanahan was born, but it's like, you can just imagine, like, let's say like even Kyle Shanahan was born at 18. Like, what was Mike Shanahan doing at 18? He was in football, playing or doing something. Like, he just would have been around the game. It's like Bronny, Bronny's just like LeBron is in the league, when he has Bronny already. Like, Bronny's just around professional basketball his entire career. Donovan Mitchell is in Pat Mahomes. All these guys. Is that the only time that Bronny's going to be brought up with Mahomes and Mitchell? We shall see, chat. We hope that maybe he gets mentioned in there because his play as well, too. But hey, today, Bronny gets mentioned on a list with Pat Mahomes and Donovan Mitchell. But, it's like if you're Chris Shula, and let's see what the relationships were again exactly. Was he grandson for Don Shula? Yeah, so his dad is David Shula. Uncle Mike Shula. I'm not really certain with David Shula. Played one season with the Colts? The 81 Baltimore Colts? 2 fumbles? Oh, he played on defense. Okay, Rick, 2 fumbles on defense. We'll take that. I thought I saw number 85. I thought he was a receiver. Maybe he recovered those 2 fumbles on offense. Maybe that's what it was. Brett Jones, shout out. Oh, man, 2-14. This was not one of Brett Jones' finest seasons. 30 years old. This would have been near the end of the Brett Jones run. Burt Jones. Jesus, Chad. Bad fan. Shout out to the Ruston Rifle. One of our favorite low-key superstars. We can't really say that because we just started calling him Brett Jones and his name is Burt Jones, but we do love Burt Jones. Won the MVP in 76. Was a gunslinger. Was one of the first guys that we were told as a little kid was like, yeah, Burt Jones was like a gunslinger. Fearless guy. Big arm. Was one of the first big arm quarterbacks that we heard about. 2nd overall pick. Son of Dub Jones. I'm going to bring back a old name if I ever have a kid. Name him like Crookedy Smith. Some old-timey name. But, yeah, we remember Burt Jones from this team. Unfortunately, we do not remember David Shula. And he didn't have a coaching thing in there as well? Yeah, he did play receiver, Chad. 2 fumble recoveries. So apparently, I don't know if he was special teams, but apparently he came in clutch a couple of times. -2 fantasy points? Yikes. Did he get up? Did he lose a fumble? So I guess he lost, but I guess his fumble recoveries were his own. But it doesn't say if he was on a catch or whatever. I guess that would explain the -2 fantasy points. Jesus, chat. Dartmouth, though. Shout out, David Shula. So, I mean, you get a Dartmouth dad and the greatest coach of all time, one of them in Don Shula as your grandfather. Mike Shula is your uncle. You're growing up around plays and textbooks and I don't know. I'm talking myself into Chris Shula, chat. Flores is still 1. And then who did we say was 2, chat? There was another assistant. It wasn't Kellen Moore. Who was it, chat? No, I'm not. It wasn't Matt Nagy either. I'm blanking. Let me pull the teams back up. I think he was AFC. Was it? Oh, it was Minter for the Chargers. That's right. Yeah. It was Minter. I guess let's check the Ravens staff real quick as well, too. We gotta check what the... Is this just how the owners and GMs just search for coaches? They just look and go, oh, look at this guy's Don Shula's son. Yeah, we should probably hire that guy. This is probably exactly how it goes down. They just a little Wikipedia deep dive. See how it goes. Todd Monken, of course, well-established, been around. I'm sure he'll get an interview or two. Zach Orr, I don't think the Ravens' defense was their strong point for a lot of the season, but turn it around a little bit. Top 10, I guess, in points allowed. So you can't be mad about that. That at least looks not too bad on paper. But yeah, the passing defense, 29th in yards, chat. Worked as a defensive analyst And again, as a linebackers coach. So he meets all the criteria to be a head coach in the league. Shout out. Of course, former player as well, too. I think kind of a baller as well. Should we go back and... Did it have his player days? Let's see. 3 years, chat. Did not have an extended run. But, one sack in 3 years. Second team All-Pro. Yeah. Okay, 133 tackles in 2016. What happened to Zach Orr, chat? Was there an injury or something? Zach Orr, was he blindsided? Or was that a different guy? Let me see. Orr announced his retirement due to, congenital spine condition. Neck spine injury. Announced it on Good Morning Football. Shout out. In the early days as well, too. Maybe the first big player announcement on the show. But definitely showed his worth that one season, like we were saying, for sure. So we know he has, brilliant defensive performances in him in some way, chat. Can he bring him out as a coach? That is what we'll see. But yeah, I think Vrabel, Flores, got to be the two guys at the top of the list for sure. But shout out to Bo Nix today. 26 of 29, 321, 4 touchdowns. So let's actually see what he did in comparison to the class this year, chat, because I think, unfortunately, maybe even Drake May kind of passed him a little bit. And maybe not even in Rookie of the Year voting. Maybe in the Rookie of the Year voting, the full season that Bo Nix put together will get respected. But at least in terms of the talk and in terms of the hype, Drake May definitely took that spot, I think, as he might be even the number one quarterback for, who you actually want to build your team around. And Drake May, of course, is not going to quite have the total stats. Can we do a per game here? I guess not here. But he was right behind Jaden Daniels in the same amount of games. Threw quite a few more passes. Jaden Daniels at 468. Bo Nix at 538. But, again, Bo Nix, the production is pretty similar. A couple more picks for Nix. Same amount of touchdowns, though. So, and Broncos fans, taking your teams to the playoffs, and they were just waiting to choke this playoff spot away. I think this was like 4 weeks in a row now that they had a chance to secure it. Them and Pittsburgh both just trying their best to give away their playoff spots, but laying a potential 40-piece on the Chiefs, locking in that playoff berth for Bo Nix. And for Sean Payton, shout out to Spencer Rattler as well, too, getting on the board. 1,000 yards in his rookie year. 3 touchdowns to 5 picks. Oh, no. Look away. 104 to 186. Let's just cover up the touchdown interceptions and just say, hey, maybe efficient, moving the ball a little bit, kind of. I don't know. We'll see. Adonai Mitchell as well, too. 1 for 24. We'll take that for Indy. We'll take it. But Penix today was in maybe the best game of the day, the shootout of the day with him and Bryce Young. Who would have thought, chat? Is that the future of the NFC South right there? Did we just witness? In talking about Hardwood Classic games, will this be the Gridiron Classic game, chat? Will we be looking back going, remember that early Bryce Young-Penix duel? And shout out, I think, great that Bryce Young and the Panthers were able to actually get the win, because it wouldn't have even mattered for Atlanta anyway. The rare, the game extends and then you realize you're playing for nothing. I think there's been times when, the game finishes and you're like, oh, the other game ended. They got the win. We know it's over. But they extend the game to overtime. And then as they're doing the coin toss for overtime, Spencer Rattler's overthrowing his receiver on 4th down, turning it over and giving the Bucs back the ball, and they're getting ready to take a knee. And it's like, Oh, well, they get heads and Atlanta, your season is over. So I don't know if they found that out going into overtime and if that ultimately mattered. But you look at Bijan today, Chad, as well. 28 for 170, 2 touchdowns. And like we're saying, the running backs have proven their worth for these winning teams over the last couple of years with Saquon and McCaffrey and with Gibbs. And with the way Penix has looked, chat, if Penix is going to be a real guy and the Falcons can have a contending team and a feisty offense, like Bijan, in the same way that these other great running backs can do it, I think Bijan can give that Falcons that extra, offensive boost that a guy like Barkley gives. Because I think Bijan has proven that he can play on that level, chat. And obviously he wasn't in the 2,000-yard rushing mark like Saquon was, but almost 5 yards a carry, Chad. Over 4.5 yards a carry both years now, and got the 12 touchdowns. Was able to actually find the end zone this year. You see the receiving dual threat aspect of his game as well too. Similar receiving production, even though the targets were down, but a few less touchdowns, I guess. But same or more overall touchdowns just in general because of the rushing touchdowns. And then up to 1,700 yards as well overall from scrimmage. But I don't know, you just watch him as well too, and you can see the dynamic runner that he is, where I feel like sometimes he's not running himself open, but and the Falcons do, I think, have a decent offense. They have some good offensive line pieces to block for him. It's not like he's behind it totally, it's not like they totally need to upgrade that for him to even take his production up a level. But I think as the offense continues to grow around him, like we're saying, that's the thing with running backs. I totally get it if you're not a great team and you're a building team and you go, hey, are there other positions we need to invest in? But them turning around and getting the quarterback, chat, is, it's going to elevate everybody on the team, but having a good running back is super valuable for those offenses because it's going to make your quarterback's life a lot easier as well. And, Penix, chat, this is exactly why you have to take the quarterback when you have the opportunity to take the quarterback, even if you sign Kirk Cousins into that deal. And, shout out Sam, but shout out Sam for shouting out Simmons. We've heard him talk about how maybe the Falcons should have invested in some defensive spots there or whatever. But it's like, I don't know, the quarterback position is just too important, chat. It's just too important. And there was a time where I think I would have been a little more open to maybe building a team outside the quarterback too than just having the quarterback there, where you get a couple of NFC teams, it seemed like, were breaking through. And even like the non-Brady teams, there was a stretch there where maybe the quarterback play was down as well. Like there was that Final Four where it was Brady and then Bortles, Case Keenum, and, I don't even remember who the fourth guy was, like Tannehill or something, chat. Tannehill wouldn't have been in the NFC that year. But, just like some random 4-off quarterbacks outside of Brady. And it's like, okay, maybe you don't need an all-time great quarterback, of course, to building a contending team. And not saying that Penix is, on pace to be an all-time great quarterback or anything like that. Maybe he will be. But, again, that value of finding the quarterback position. And then even like Brock Purdy and Shanahan, where it's like, if you have the great system, maybe his ability to elevate quarterback prospects in that is more important than hitting on a guy like Mahomes as well too. Like I just would have been like, as a 17, 18-year-old me running a team, chat, would have been, building Madden teams or whatever, would have been more open to like, hey, building the team around the quarterback. And then maybe we actually have, like, can we sacrifice and get a quarterback a couple tiers down, but the roster around is just so strong that it won't even matter. And of course that's still a viable option, chat. Like, maybe Minnesota's a little bit like that. Maybe even Detroit's a little bit like that this year. But Goff's been playing so well too that it's hard to say that they're in like that category. Like, but even like when Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, like, yeah, Nick Foles is not Brady, but Nick Foles was still balling out. Like, yeah, obviously your quarterback still needs to like be playing great. Like, we're not saying that. But now, especially with what the Colts have gone through over the last half decade, even plus trying to land a quarterback, maybe even, pushing a decade at this point, Chad. I don't even know. It just is a time warp with the quarterback struggle. But the trying to find that position and trying to get something and how they're searching for it, it's like, if we had a position to take a guy like Shedeur Sanders this year in the draft, we'd have to do it. And as much as I've loved Anthony Richardson, and as much as I, would still even defend Anthony Richardson if it was to move on, and, maybe they bring Shedeur in to learn from Anthony Richardson, chat. Can he learn how to run out of bounds? Learn how to take a play off? But, I'll defend Anthony Richardson until he retires, Chad. I'm team Anthony Richardson all the way. Make no mistake. But, realistically, if we're trying to win a Super Bowl here, like, and maybe I change my mind as well too if I really lock in the YouTube stuff with the quarterback shit. Maybe the YouTube film will say something different. But just hypothetically, if there's that quarterback at the top of the draft, like if you're in that middle tier for the quarterback situation, you have to upgrade. I think you have to, if you think that the upgrade is available, you have to potentially make the move there or the long-term move or whatever. But, it's like Cousins is just, yes, you can bring in another piece and go, if Cousins gives you that decent level of play, can we build a division level title? Like whatever, if you want, I guess if you want to build a division contender in the NFC South, then that's totally fine. But if you actually want to try to build, a real team and say, hey, let's actually, make a little run at the NFC here and see what can happen. And you have a chance to say, hey, there's a franchise guy, maybe like Penix on the board. It doesn't matter if we just spent all of our free agency money on Kirk Cousins. And realistically, they spent it for 2 years as well, too. So in the NFL, if you're spending for 2 years, especially at the quarterback position, it's like, well, now we kind of already got to start preparing as well. So now we can bring a guy in. If Cousins is playing well, he has time to sit and develop, even if he is a little older like Penix. But if you have a move, even the Rodgers-Love situation, we've seen, and, maybe Love is not the Super Bowl quarterback and not the guy, the highest pick or whatever, but Love is an above average starter. Love's a good quarterback. And the Packers are an 11-12 team with him and LaFleur. And he's good with a good system as well, too. Make no mistake, LaFleur is one of the better coaches in the league. But, Atlanta absolutely did the right thing. It helps that Penix has looked decent and was able to carve up, the Carolina defense. And, have some, it's not like he's even played great teams as well, too, in the couple of snaps that he's played this year. But, he's shown a confidence working down the field that you look at even like Caleb Williams today, Chad. I know, again, the Bears got the win. It's cold weather, sloppy game, Green Bay rivalry. We're turning into Schrager here. You can put all the descriptors on it you want to say, it makes sense that Caleb Williams could win a slug-it-out type game in that situation. But that game was just a recipe of what we've seen all year of him just the checking down and the moving. And maybe not even the checking down to the degree at this game, chat. We know, of course, this year it was a lot of, holding on too long and trying to make a play and maybe not making a read. But it seemed like today they weren't even giving him a chance to do that. It's just throw it to the sideline. Just throw it to DJ Moore quick. We get it. If you're not going to get the ball out, we'll make the decisions for you. Let's see if we can actually get a passing chart here for Caleb Williams. We should have been locked in already. I should have been looking at this, but this is good. We have a season as well, too, of data to look at. So we won't have this game, I don't think, this quickly, but what do we have? And they never have them in order either, Chad. Or I guess they do have. Okay, they have them in order going backwards. Bet. We spoke too soon. But, yeah, you see him pushing the ball a little bit here in week 9, but you see him really slowing down in week 10. Oh, okay, so we do have today's game. Yeah, chat. So did we even get a 20-yarder? Nothing over 20. Okay, so the passing is a little different than I thought. So a couple over 20 here. We had a pick 2 weeks ago, or I guess last week, going to the 20-yard mark. But I guess, yeah, if you go, it's mostly inside of 20. You see a lot of it going to the sideline as well, too, especially today. Just really getting the ball out quick. And Penix, like we're saying, there's at least pushing the ball down the field that he has in his game. And a touch on some of the passes as well, too. That, Penix has at least shown the stuff that he can be a guy. And like we're saying, like you have to make that move in the draft. If it's available, I think even like we're saying, I think the Vikings, the more that I've thought about it, and after talking about it with Sam as well too, like they got to keep McCarthy. Unless there's real evidence that, they got like a Trey Lance on their hands. Shout out McCarthy. We know that, we believe that that's not the case. We have faith in our boy that McCarthy is a really, really good NFL quarterback for sure. But, as good as Darnold is and is still maybe as young as Darnold is, like he's not Kirk Cousins, of course. Cousins is in his mid-30s at this point. He's off the Achilles injury. Darnold is in his late 20s, entering the peak of his career. Like maybe these next 3 or 4 years are the best that he has, hopefully. But why would we trade McCarthy this offseason when we also just have a really good backup as well too? But, who knows what the contract Darnold's going to sign. I'm sure that's not going to be a 4 or 5 year deal, Chad. I mean, that's going to be, 2 or 3 years? Maybe a little bit of a couple more dollars maybe as well. I don't know what Darnold's market would actually be right now. Let's see if that number is out there. Is he going to be 30 plus? I know Shannon Sharp was saying 50 plus for Sam Darnold. And NFL quarterbacks these days, if that's what you got to pay for a top level quarterback in the league, I would not be surprised either way. If you said Darnold because he might be the second team All-Pro quarterback this year, he's definitely a Pro Bowl quarterback, then if he's the 50 mil or 40 plus or whatever, because they were saying that for Purdy as well too. But if somebody swoops in and I guess is going to offer you more for McCarthy than you drafted him, then that's just good value anyways. But there's no reason to sell low on McCarthy now either, especially. So yeah, right now Darnold 1 year, $10 million. Yeah, $56 million. Whoa. It's a fat paycheck for Sam Darnold, chat. It's a lot of money for Sam Darnold. As much as you love Sam Darnold, the former number 3 overall pick, in his sixth year too, making $56 million in his 6 years, like right on pace for where he should be for the 3rd overall pick, even if it's not the conventional route. But it's a lot of money. And I don't know what the position of the rest of their team is, where they have under, Addison's still on the rookie deal. Maybe Jefferson just got paid. I think there's a lot of young pieces on defense as well. Grenard, they just signed this offseason, so he's there for a couple years. But, that screams disappointment as well, too. Like, I'm just saying, that could go either way from Darnold's performance. I'm just like, if you have good quarterbacks on the roster, don't just start handing them out for nothing. Don't just go, well, okay, I guess we're paying Darnold. Like, well, the McCarthy pick is useless. You want to give us a 2nd round pick for McCarthy? I guess we'll do that. Like, there's no reason to do that. And McCarthy McCarthy played in the preseason, looked good as well, too. Like, there's no reason to say that McCarthy is not worth his draft value at this point, unless you're purely just going, well, the knee injury or whatever. And I don't know if there was like a re-aggravation in there as well. That maybe happened in like a second surgery. So maybe the health stuff could be a factor as well. But, the performance, there's just no reason to move off of your good quarterbacks when you have your good quarterbacks. So I don't know why Darnold would do that there. And, for Penix and the Falcons, which is what we were actually talking about, I think it's totally the right move. If the quarterback is on the board and you are in that middle ground for quarterback position, like even with Cousins going into the offseason, like I don't remember where they were at in the books, but I think they were still kind of favored to win the division with Cousins. Like we still thought that they were going to be a good team, but you know what the future is. And you even know what the potential for a Kirk Cousins season is, especially off the injury. Like it makes sense, chat. Like, let's see if there's a good example of it right now. Like, I guess the Seahawks, like some of this stuff would be too easy. And again, the quarterback position this year is a little different. Maybe there's not the depth, but like if the Panthers, chat, if a guy was really there, and Bryce Young is, now we're really moving up the youth scale as well too. Now we're talking about a guy on his rookie contract. But what about Arizona, chat? If Arizona felt like there was a guy on a young deal, I don't know what Kyler's looking at for the rest of his contract. He's on a little bit of a bigger number too. Will Sam Darnold pass him at 56? Or is Kyler Murray's contract so high that it just won't even matter? Yeah, he's only at 46 a year. So he's got a couple of years where, he's definitely on the roster. But if you feel really strongly in the draft and you're like, man, Shedeur is the guy, and how did this happen? All of a sudden Shedor's at 13. Like, whoa, how did, I'm just like, we're just saying. But the Bears with Caleb Williams, is Caleb Williams, would they be more willing to move on from Caleb than Bryce Young for the Panthers? That's a crazy thought, chat. With especially how that trade looked like it could have turned out for them. But maybe it was worth it, giving up all the picks. Bryce Young, 5 wins, beating out Michael Penix. Looking good in the NFC South for the future. But it was definitely a fun game for the day as well. And speaking of high draft picks, the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, word on the street is this might be Aaron Rodgers' last game, chat. Word on the street is it's coming to an end. And we can make all the jokes that we want, and, we can have all the takes about whether or not Rodgers is doing the right thing in his career, blah, 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 blah. Where's he at as a football player? All this stuff. Is there a place for him? But, that's all good dialogue to have when Rodgers is still like an active player. But if it's like, okay, now that it's actually ending, then we do actually have to salute Aaron Rodgers, because he is, of course, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. One of the most decorated quarterbacks of all time. And now the Jets year really becomes like a Tony Parker Hornets year. There was, of course, is it like a little, could this be a Joe Montana Chiefs? Is there a nice couple year run here where Rodgers gets this team competitive and brings back a Jets franchise and rebuilds his name a little bit? But make no mistake, chat. Has there been, really, unfortunately for Rodgers, has there been a more tumultuous end of a career for a legend? Like, I'm like really thinking about like from an NBA standpoint as well too, chat, but just both ways. I guess maybe I want to say like, what about like maybe some of the receivers like Owens and stuff where, I don't know where off the field it got to at the end of his career. And, of course there's guys where the production is tapered off. Maybe they weren't the same player they were. But even at 37, T.O., 900 yards, 9 touchdowns. It's a little easier for a receiver as well, too, to compare it to a quarterback. It's not all the same. But just in terms of from where Rodgers was at in the all-time rankings a couple years ago to where he is at now, chat. And, a part of that is to some of the younger talent where Rodgers has played so long, he's been able to play against this next generation. But Rodgers was a guy at one point that in Green Bay, people were making the case for him. And, people probably still will. We're not saying that the case was wrong in the moment, but, the conversation was, is this the best quarterback to ever play the position? In like that Mahomes way where, like, we get, yeah, Brady is the greatest to ever do it, but is it like a talent thing? Like, is Rodgers the most talented quarterback to ever play the position? And, he had the multiple MVPs. He had the Super Bowl in there, the stats. Like, again, people were putting him top 5. Like, I think there was a point in his career where you could have made the case Aaron Rodgers is like, and people were saying, is Aaron Rodgers like a top 5 quarterback? And, you're making the case versus him versus Moreno. Like, you could go, oh, well, he has the MVPs and Moreno doesn't have a Super Bowl. He has more MVPs than Elway, and Elway only had 2 Super Bowls, and he won those Super Bowls with the run game or whatever. Like, you can make the case for Rodgers to get really high up on that list, but, I mean, if this is the Rodgers last game, chat, like, this is the Aaron Rodgers career that we got. And Aaron Rodgers is still, of course, a top 10 career quarterback. Like, he's still going to be one of the greatest. We're not, the Hall of Fame case is solidified. The Super Bowls, the MVPs, like, there's no doubting Aaron Rodgers' greatness. And, to remember the peak Aaron Rodgers days as well, too. And like we're saying, that talent that he had, like, it's undeniable in that fantasy redraft situation that we always talk about, all time for the legends. Like, maybe Rodgers is a little bit more of a value now as well. I know Michael Vick is always our guy that we say we're going to go snag in that all-time draft, but maybe Rodgers has slid down the list now. We're like, oh, we're we got the most talented quarterback in league history with the 12th quarterback pick in the draft. But, from a legacy standpoint, chat, like we're saying, he has played and he has, I don't know if this has helped or hurt him, but, he has played against guys that have just kind of directly passed him from a legacy standpoint. And again, I just don't know about where that's happened. Like, even in the NBA with Curry and Durant, like Jokic and Giannis, maybe there's things on the court that they do over a guy like Curry. Like, maybe, again, from that fantasy draft standpoint, you go, do you want the size of Jokic or Giannis's defense, his two-way ability, whatever. Like, maybe there's physical traits that they have over Curry where you go pound for pound, are they better? Like whatever. But, Curry and Durant and, of course, LeBron's legacy, but, like, those guys are just not getting passed by these next legends before him from a leg. And yeah, they're getting passed, of course, on the court impact-wise. But in terms of the accumulation of legacy, those guys are still solidified at the top of the game. And, even Jordan, like we're saying with the Wizards, like when Jordan was playing with the Wizards, there wasn't a, Kobe was, putting 40 on him and you go, oh, is this the next MJ, whatever. But Kobe wasn't in the moment, like, a better all-time basketball player than Michael Jordan in the moment. Tim Duncan, Shaq, like, these guys, and of course they still aren't, but, not to just take shots at all these basketball legends, but you know what we're saying, like, Mahomes, it's like undisputable, chat. I mean, we're talking about Mahomes as the greatest, is he in the mix as the greatest quarterback of all time? Like, when does it happen? Is he number 2 already behind Tom Brady? It's like, unfortunately, Rodgers just got to see Mahomes just pass him right up from an all-time standpoint. Like, Lamar Jackson, like, fortunately, Rodgers still has a Super Bowl to hold that for, over Lamar. But Lamar has a couple of MVPs now. If Lamar were to get a Super Bowl, what would that legacy ranking look like? If Josh Allen were to get a Super Bowl, what would that legacy ranking look like? And, as well, too, the fact that he never got the second one kind of, I think you could maybe make the case for him over a guy like Elway, maybe holding out hope that he would tie him from a ring standpoint, but, not to just do a drive-by shooting of Rodgers on his last game. But, I don't know if I would necessarily put him over Elway in an all-time ranking. If you want to start making the case, him over Moreno, I think that's where it starts to land. So, I think Rodgers is still, maybe top 10 is even too, putting too much of a number. Like, maybe he's top 7 still in that all-time quarterback list. I don't know. Would you have him over Favre? I guess, again, from a talent standpoint, you probably would. Favre only ended up with the 1 Super Bowl as well. Of course, you're going Brady, Mahomes, Manning, Montana, Johnny Unitas. We can't forget about Unitas. And then what do you want to do with, like, the Bradshaw, Staubach? I don't know, Chad. I mean, I think I would personally, I always tend to go with the legends as well, too, the longevity, not even as like a football talent on the field thing. Like, I would just lean toward giving the legend the nod. Again, just for that longevity standpoint. Maybe I'm into ranking albums too much instead of football players. It's a little bit of a different thing. But, I might give Staubach the nod as well, too. It's just, again, an interesting thing that I haven't seen a legend sort of like outplay their own legacy like this in the way that Rodgers has. And not to say that, again, it's fallen off in an incredible way. Rodgers is absolutely one of the greatest quarterbacks that we've had. But, what would even, are Curry and Durant, could they even play long enough for Giannis and Jokic to pass them from a legacy standpoint? Like, if Jokic gets Curry has 4 rings. Maybe Durant is a little more catchable than Curry from that standpoint. But, is Durant going to play long enough to where Jokic is like, everybody just unanimously agrees that Jokic is better all time than, better all time than KD or Giannis or whatever? And, maybe it is close, chat. But I just haven't really seen that happen to a guy. And it kind of makes me feel bad for him in a way. Like, I'm kind of feel like I need to go back the other way now that this might be Rodgers is done and Rodgers is retiring, and be like, hey, we need to remember, like, Rodgers was, again, like maybe a top 7 quarterback in NFL history. Like, do I need to go back and queue up some old Packers games, chat? But it'll be tough. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't know if Rodgers would be one of the guys that, if I'm being honest, I would be most happy to just go back and rewatch. Like, I don't know. I don't, like, saying, even like Mike, like, I would much rather queue up a Mike Vick game and just watch Mike Vick than an Aaron Rodgers game. And that's no disrespect. Like, the throws that you're going to get in a Rodgers game are insane. Like, the man's going to be, dropping dots that are going to be amongst the best in NFL history. It's just going to be an absolute clinic in passing. But I don't know, chat. The vibes as well, too. It's a mixed career. It's a very interesting career. Maybe Kyrie. But again, even Kyrie's, the way his legacy, like, Kyrie wasn't Rodgers, with respect to Kyrie. But Rodgers was, I mean, he's up there, chat. Like, Rodgers is, again, in that top group. So I don't know what happened at, like, the end of the Karl Malone run, when it's like, oh, okay, Karl Malone's not going to get the ring, but he still has all of his stats. But, I just can't think of another legend whose legacy has kind of turned around the way it has. Because, again, even in this all-time draft hypothetical, would you lean, like, the reason I bring this up is because I would find myself trying to gear toward maybe, again, like Josh Allen and Lamar and some of this younger talent, where I would, at the end of the day on the legacy rankings, I know I would have to have Rodgers way up that list. But there's just something about that career that, I don't know, didn't quite capture the fan base the same way. Like, there's definitely there's a respect for it. And maybe I'm not remembering those peak Packer days as well, because the way the media was just falling over themselves for how Rodgers played the game. Like, Rodgers was definitely one of the peak media glazed athletes in a while. And maybe that's one of the things that hurts as well, chat, because, he doesn't have the LeBron 4 title, the Curry 4 titles, where the undisputed hardware to just, flip everybody off and be like, well, you don't want to like me because I'm so popular. Look at my 5 and 4 rings or whatever. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, you'll love me at the end of the day because I did so much winning and brought so much happiness to everybody's lives that cheered for me. But, he was in that mix for top glazed guys. So I don't know if that helps or hurts him. But it's just a legendary career, chat, that, again, I have mixed feelings for, because I do feel like it may go under sort of, I just don't know how the replay value of Rodgers' career, like we're saying, I just don't know what it is compared to some of the guys that we're seeing now and some of the legends that came before him. But if it does fall off, it's like, are we going to have to be I don't know if I'm going to be in a position where it's like, are we going to have to be reminding people about Aaron Rodgers? And this is not even a guy that I feel like we would have wanted to do. It's just weird mixed feelings about the Rodgers career, chat. But like we're saying, his greatness is undeniable. His greatness is undeniable. One of the best to ever do it. And if this is the last time we ever see him, chat, I mean, it was an honor to watch Aaron Rodgers play football, Oh, excuse us, chat. Great playoff. There's some great playoff games in there that I'd love to go back and rewatch. There's that Larry Fitz game. That Larry Fitz Cardinals game is a game I would throw on all the time for sure. That's a high rewatchability game. But that would be, again, for the Larry Fitz performance. I don't know if it'd be, do I want to go back and watch Rodgers dot up the Bears back in the day? Like, I don't know who is the NBA equivalent to that, chat. Because you might just be saying Tim Duncan, the Spurs guy. I know. Make the jokes all you want. Say he's not rewatchable. But it's not true. The Spurs are insanely rewatchable, especially the later year Spurs, the beautiful game Spurs. I mean, throwing on a game of that and watching them move the ball around, watching the passing and the crispness of the offense, like, it just never gets old. It's, literally called the beautiful game. That might be the most rewatchable team in NBA history. So you can't really say that Tim Duncan's not a rewatchable player. Again, it's not you're watching it for the full team thing, but Duncan's still a part of it. In those old school, grinded out early 2000s playoff games, there's some legendary hardwood classic games in there as well too. Against the Pistons, against the Nets. Maybe not the most beautiful games. Speaking of Larry Fitz, shout out, he's on the sideline. Cardinals up 20 right now in the Niners. Josh Dobbs was going toe-to-toe with Kyler Murray for a second. It's a good thing that Kyler Murray pulled away. Would that have been an indictment of Kyler Murray? Then again, Josh Dobbs, as he had the inside information, he was on the Cardinals like last year. But they're taking care of business. They're doing their thing. Anyways, what were we talking about, Chad? We were ranting about Rodgers. That's right. Anyways. Shout out the greatness of Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully, and we say this with all due respect, hopefully it is the last time we see him. Because like we're saying, the legacy, man, just stop it. I don't know if you're going to help it any. So I don't know if you want to keep putting this football in front of the younger generations, Just keep what you had on tape as the Aaron Rodgers career. But oh yeah, the rewatchability of some NBA guys. And maybe the less rewatchable guys are the ones we're not thinking about. Kareem? Is Kareem kind of that guy? But I'm the wrong guy to have this conversation with because I'm just a degenerate basketball guy and I'll just, I'll watch any old basketball game. It literally doesn't matter. Make it, Dean Smith, 4 corners. I'll find something fascinating about it. It's all good. But maybe Kareem is the type of guy where, do people just feel like they need to go throw on an old Kareem game? Once you start getting to Magic and the Lakers and Showtime against the Celtics and those rivalries, like, yeah, you're throwing those on for sure. Maybe the most replayed games in NBA history, but Kareem, and I guess is that the Duncan thing? He's a part of that, so we have to so Kareem for the Lakers for sure. But, I guess Rodgers didn't have the secondary run, like we're saying. And maybe Packers fans will remember Rodgers more fondly. But, like, did Rodgers win the hearts of Packers fans more than Brett Favre even? 2 quarterbacks with some, some sketchy stuff going on that makes it interesting. But definitely brought a lot of success to the fan bases. Jordan Love in for his, next 20 years before they draft a guy and replace him. Unless they're just going to queue it up and do it early, Chad. I don't know. Jalen Milroe, 2nd round. I already start looking after the next Jordan Love contract. But at least Rodgers is going to end his career with a win as well. I don't know if the Jets were doing that on purpose with Huntley. But with the Broncos getting the win, maybe they just thought Carson Wentz, they were going to get the win anyways, which is exactly what happened. Honestly, could not have gone worse. It's unfortunate for Rodgers and the Jets. It could not have gone worse. But who knows what would have happened last year? I guess you always have the what if of last year. He would have been at least a year younger. I know the end of the Packers' tenure does not necessarily give you hope for the what if of that situation. But you just never know. The team was a little bit better around him as well. At least the defense. So maybe that's a playoff team last year. But a disastrous 4 snaps and then a disastrous 14, 18 weeks, however long the Rodgers thing lasted this year. But regardless, like we're saying, a legendary player. One of the greatest quarterbacks to ever lace it up, chat. Who will quickly, once Lamar wins the Super Bowl, will quickly not be a top 10 quarterback as soon as some of the other guys get up there. But what else happened in the NFL this week? Week 18. Let's see. A couple of other games. Yeah, I don't know if Trey Lance will be replacing him for the Jets, but you know, he had a couple moments today. He had one throw where he had Dowdle for the end zone and just short-armed it and missed him. But at least they covered, chat. Plus 7.5. Vegas with absolutely zero faith in Trey Lance. And they outgained the Commanders as well. So at least they were moving the ball a little bit with him in there. 20 of 34, 244. Were they just like, maybe if we save him for one last game, maybe the Commanders won't value the game at all, and then he'll have one miraculous game, and then on the basis of one game, they can trade him. It was just a boomer bust trade value game for him if he runs around and just has an insane fantasy day. Maybe that's actually the smart way to do it. I kind of agree, because maybe if he gets a couple of games, he starts to figure something out, gets momentum, you could always make that case. But I kind of like let's just wait till the last week, and if he goes off, maybe now we can turn him into something. But, yeah, Will Levis in action today. Did Stroud play? I mean, that's where Stroud has fallen to, chat, where we're talking about bad quarterback play, and Stroud can't even be elevated in that. Yeah, okay, it was Davis Mills. The Texans clinched the AFC South. Colts, Jags, apparently not standing in their way. Oh, yeah, Saquon Barkley, chat, was rested today by the Philadelphia Eagles. And make no mistake, the NFL former player community was definitely outraged. And I totally get it. As a former player, you're always going to root for the players as well. And, you know, Barkley with a chance to make history. I mean, look at this, Chet. He's only 100 yards away from Eric Dickerson's all-time record. You know? How many times will a guy rush for 2,000 yards in his career? Has anybody ever done it twice? Look at that, Chad. Nobody's ever done it twice unless they're covering up a couple of OJ seasons that they're not showing up here. But, you know, I get it, Chad. Barkley, how many times do you have a chance to break the single season rushing record? Especially in the modern NFL, it doesn't seem like, you know, the amount of guys that are going to have great rushing seasons are going to be a little lower. And as the health cycle of a running back, you know, the careers are not that long. Barkley's already 27. So I get it all. Trust me, I understand the Barkley case. I would love to see the man have an as historic season as possible. But you know who else is not going to get a chance to play another game this year, chat, or ever? Eric Dickerson. You know who else can't make up more yards for his 84 season? Eric Dickerson. Now, I get, you know, you play your season, you do what you can. But, again, Eric Dickerson only had 17 games. Barkley is going to have 18 games. Like, it's okay that Barkley is not going to pass Eric Dickerson. The man had his 17 games to collect his all-time rushing record. He got his 2,000 yards. He got his historic season. He might be on the MVP ballot this year, for all we know. You know, he might be at the NFL honors. That's going to be a impressive thing for a running back to be in that mix. But Eric Dickerson, man, let the man have his historic 1984 season. You know, somebody else might come along in 18 games, and like I was saying, it just seems like it's a little bit easier now. Like, not that Barkley didn't have a great season this year, but he averaged 10 yards less a game than Eric Dickerson. You know, he still had the same amount of games to pass him and didn't do it. So yeah, Barkley's season got cut short, but it got cut short for the modern season. You know? And I guess, you know, he did play 16 games, so got the full normal season to do his thing. 125 yards, you know, five almost 6 yards a carry. For Barkley, like, it's an historic season. I get it. It should be remembered as, you know, one of the great modern rush seasons we have. But guess what? Eric Dickerson's 16 games in 1984 were a better rushing 16 games than Saquon Barkley's 2024. And you go, okay, I guess Barkley did have a couple of more decibels per carry, 5.8 versus 5.6. Barkley may have even had a couple more touchdowns as well. Let me see. 14 touchdowns for Dickerson. Let's go back to Barkley here. But no, Dickerson was doing more with his carries than Saquon was. And as much as I would love the guy to have the 17th game and have the opportunity, 13 touchdowns, Chad, for Barkley. So yeah, didn't even get as many touchdowns in 16 games. Let Eric Dickerson stay at the top. Brock Bowers already took down Mike Ditka's tight end records this year. Mike Ditka, unfortunately, is going to get lost in history as well. Let's not lose Eric Dickerson to history, too, and put Saquon Barkley up there. And, to be honest, chat, I like it when the all-time records reflect like an all-time ranking. And that's no disrespect to Saquon Barkley, but Dickerson's the better all-time running back at this point. Dickerson is one of the 5 greatest running backs to ever do it. Let one of the great running backs have the great record. Not that Barkley's not one of the great running backs, but, and maybe Barkley will pass Dickerson all time, and I'll look back and go, oh, yeah, you know what? It's okay if Barkley, we give Barkley the pass to have the historic season. But it's like Chris Johnson 2009. If Chris Johnson had the all-time rushing record season, Jamal Lewis, like great guys, even Derrick Henry, chat. Like Derrick Henry, maybe the best running back of the 2020s at this point. The modern day, what he's been able to do with his size as well, too, just his overall physical dominance, where you just go, how do we stop this guy? But he hasn't had a better career than Eric Dickerson. He hasn't had a better career than Adrian Peterson. Sorry. That it's getting close. Where's Peterson at for all-time yards? Peterson's at 15,000 all-time yards, chat. Where's Henry? Of course, Peterson played till he's 36. Henry's got a couple more years to go. He could be catching him. He had the 1,900-yard season. This year, oh, wow. So Henry is the closest guy to having 2 2,000-yard seasons, and he's doing it in his late 30s. Or I guess he's only 30 right now. He's older. I think of him as older for some reason. It's just the storylines of fantasy. They're warping our mind. They're like, Derrick Henry's washed. You're like, wait a second. He just turned 30 this year. So he's at 11,000 yards right now. So in 6 seasons, can he get 5,000 more yards? I mean, if he's running for even 1,500 yards, chat, he's going to be in good shape. So Henry is closing in. And you see, of course, Henry has just been, like we're saying, the physical dominance. He's led the league in rushing multiple years. Would have led the league in rushing that one season. Would have had another 2,000-yard season probably if he didn't get hurt that one year. Earl Campbell's not up here a couple times. You got Barry Sanders with the 2,000 and with an 1,800. Ahmad Green with an 1,800. Ahmad Green, great running back. Love Ahmad Green. But Eric Dickerson being at the top, it's great. LeBron and Kareem. If Karl Malone was the all-time points leader in the NBA, you just kind of be like, okay, that's cool. But it's LeBron James. It was Kareem for a while. Kareem, it's like, yeah, Kareem is one of the top 3 players in the league. We were proud of Kareem. Shout out to Karl Malone as well, maybe. But it's like LeBron did it from a young age, the chosen one. We anointed to be the next great player and actually delivered. And not only did he break down, every expectation of what we thought of him, but he actually, he got the scoring record. It doesn't even feel real sometimes to be like, how does this guy actually lead the league in scoring all time? How did this guy actually not only live up to every expectation, but broke the one kind of sacred, holy record? It makes sense, chat. Tom Brady has all the Peyton Manning, they have the season passing leader stats. It's not Jameis. Jameis has had some great, Stafford. We love Stafford. Stafford's one of the great, one of the really good quarterbacks. Maybe great, really good, however you want to phrase it. But Stafford, he's won a Super Bowl. Stafford's been big in the playoffs. Stafford's been a really awesome quarterback. But, you know, if Stafford had the, like, even Breeze, Chad, as much as I love Breeze, like, I'm glad that Manning, even by 1 yard, got him. And you could go, okay, Peyton Manning has that all-time season. Like, Drew Brees, a stats whore, Chad. We get it. 5,000 yards every year, checking it down. You know, Roethlisberger, Stafford, Herbert. Like, it's Brady, it's Manning, it's the top guys. You know, Mahomes is in the 5,000 yard. The touchdown record. You know, Manning, 55. Brady, Mahomes, Manning again, Moreno, Rodgers. Like, it's the legends, Chad. It makes sense. And again, Barkley, I think, is going to go down as a legendary running back. But I don't even know. Do you think he'll be better than Henry? To be honest, looking at that list, I'm kind of glad he didn't pass Henry either. What's Barkley had? And, of course, he's had injuries as well, too, that have kind of messed him up. But for scrimmage, for his career, he is 106 yards for scrimmage and about 0.7 touchdowns. You know, 4 seasons of 100 plus, 5 of 80, 2 Pro Bowls. Let's go back to Henry here. Of course, I think we all know that Henry is legacy-wise a little bit better, but Barkley's a couple years behind him as well. He's a little bit younger. So just to see what he may have to catch up to. Henry with 2, 4, 6, 7 seasons of 1,000 yards, 8 of 800 plus scrimmage yards. Let's see, per game from scrimmage. Okay, 96 yards per game from scrimmage. So the Barkley receiving threat, definitely a real thing for sure. And I think Barkley's per yards actually rushing was a little higher. I think he might have been 88. Henry is at 84. Okay, so yeah, Barkley is cooking. Henry, of course, a couple more touchdowns. And, you know, MVP consideration. All that stuff. But I get it. As all the former players, I'm not trying to, you know, poo-poo the success of Barkley's season. I'm just saying that it was still an historic season. He still had the same amount of games as a lot of guys, as basically most of NFL history, to put up a season to match what they did. And I still like the way that the record books look with some of those top guys. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I guess I don't want it to come across like I didn't want Barkley to get the record. I just also did want Eric Dickerson to keep the record, if that makes sense. You know, history, you know, records are meant to be broken. We get it. But I just want to see Eric Dickerson's record stand for as long as possible. The Peterson season as well, too. Like, just seeing Peterson's impact on that Vikings team. Barkley was, you know, Barkley's been great for this Eagles team, of course, but, you know, Peterson doesn't even have A.J. Brown to work with. Imagine if Peterson had A.J. Brown. That'd be crazy. And look at just some of the Henry runs as well, too. 99, 94, 87 this year. All-time greatness, chat. Double-digit touchdowns every year since 2018. Okay, have we glazed Derrick Henry enough? Anyways. I guess I just didn't realize how far up the legacy rankings he already could be, potentially. I don't know if he would be a top 10 running back of all time. The running back history, of course, is pretty deep in the league. Pause. As that was the main position for a while. But regardless, all I'm saying is shout out to Eric Dickerson, brother. We got you. Call in. We're still proud of you standing at number 1 for the running back position. Even like the sack record, chat. I guess I do kind of feel bad that Gaston lost his sack record. I feel bad that he feels so bad about it. And it's not just like, hey, buddy, you had, you know, an amazing season. And yeah, you know what? Maybe Brett Favre did take a dive. But I don't know if you need to necessarily, like, beat him up for it. Am I blind, chat? Oh, they don't have the sack leaderboard on here. Okay, let's see if we can find it. That one might be, because I could think that one could be a little more volatile. Like Gastineau is, a legend. I think Gastineau might be in the Hall of Fame. But is he the greatest defensive end of all time? Come on, I think Lawrence Taylor is probably going to win the pass rusher belt. Is there defensive in a different? Oh, here we go. Okay. Single season sacks. Like Bruce Smith as the all-time leader in sacks. Bruce Smith is great. We can't complain about that. Al Baker, unofficial leader, 78. Okay, but official, Strahan, TJ Watt, Jared Allen, Mark Gastineau, Justin Houston, Chris Dolman, Reggie White tied at 21, Aaron Donald. Like, see, chat, if it was Strahan, TJ Watt, Reggie White, Donald, Lawrence Taylor, JJ Watt, like, that'd be cool, Again, no disrespect to Jared Allen. Like, Jared Allen, it's a credit to him that he had 22 sacks in freaking 2011. But I guess we can't complain too much about the leaderboards. It goes either way. If Saquon was number one, we would just go, hey, it was fun to witness Saquon have an historic season, and we didn't actually think that we would witness a running back break the record. But I like the longevity of records. Give them their credit when credit is due. And I guess two 2,000-yard scrimmage seasons for Barkley. So he probably goes into a hollow group with that territory. We don't want to poo-poo Barkley. Barkley's on pace to be a great player. He's going to go down as one of the great running backs in history, of course. But shout out to Eric Dickerson as well. So NFL week 18. I mean, is it fair to say that it was the worst quarterback week of all time? Is that fair? With all due respect to everybody that played quarterback this week. I guess with Bo Nix having 3 incompletions, maybe he just raises the ceiling of the rest of the floor so much. And Joe Milton did look good, chat. Everybody's wants, McCarthy on the Vikings, whatever. Joe Milton. Maybe Joe Milton's the random week 18 MVP. Is this the Matt Flynn Award to Joe Milton for the guy that's going to get paid off of one performance? 22 for 29, 241 and a touchdown. I mean, Milton, is he just better than Drake May? Who knows? Patriots, they got the 2 best quarterbacks in the draft. What are the odds? Maybe that is an interesting, I don't know. What do you have to give up, like a 3rd round pick for Milton at this point? A couple of thirds? There might actually be a price on him after this game. But this is why I like the move with what they did with Trey Lance. Like, as much as I would have been like, see what you get with him, I get it. And Cooper Rush might not be that good. If the move is solely to increase his trade value, then this is what you're hoping for. Because now, I mean, I'm doing it too, chat. Pause. And, I'll go back and watch. We'll get the all 22 on Joe Milton, see what's really going on. Put him under the microscope, make no mistake. But, you get a game where you go, oh, he's efficient. He's moving the ball. He didn't turn it over. Was he running it around a little bit too? Let's see here, chat. I know Joe Milton is a pocket passer. Like, that is kind of the strength of his game. But he'll move around. 10 for 16. Yeah, I mean, he's not a runner. I don't think he's a fast guy for sure. But big arm. Drake May 0 for 1. Did he get hurt early in the game? 0 for 1 right away before the red zone even got to it, chat. Did we look away? Oh, no, literally just played the first series, I guess. And then let Joe Milton take his job right after that. So, yeah, who knows? Joe Milton trade value. Stay tuned Tuesday. Find out where Joe Milton ranks in the all-time legacy quarterback ratings. Should we get a quick NBA update before we go? Shout out, I guess, the Chargers, too, for winning the Seahawks. Garoppolo not able to wrap up his career with a win, but looking decent. 27 of 41 for 334. 2 touchdowns. An interception. 97 quarterback rating and a 5-point loss in an NFC West game. I mean, this is just a classic Jimmy Garoppolo performance. You gotta love it. Geno, 20 for 27. 4 touchdowns. Wow. Trying to make sure that the Seahawks don't make any feisty moves this offseason. Trying to make sure his job. I guess Gino fighting for his job today may have won a little bit of extra confidence in Seahawks fans. I don't know who else was kind of in that mix. Because like we're saying, Caleb and Bryce Young, like Caleb, they're going to run back, of course. Bryce Young at this point, they're probably going to run back. He had enough good games. He played well today, too. The Saints with Rattler, like I guess if Rattler just really impressed today, then maybe you do something. But he wasn't like super great, to say the least. So that would have really been kind of the one outside of Purdy, which maybe them sitting Purdy is a sign that, you know, they want to just keep him and lock him down. But we'll see where that saga continues to go as well. But yeah, Cleveland, they've got the Hornets wiped down. They're up by 19. LaMelo's back, 16 points tonight, and Miller, 24. 6 of 9 for 3, so Miller's cooking right now. But unfortunately, Cleveland saw what OKC did, and so we need to have a dominant performance as well. Houston versus LA, though, speaking of LA earlier, and keeping an eye on them, Houston is proving that they might just be a little too young, a little too fast. They might just be one step ahead. They're up by 13 with 2 minutes left in the half. And you know this, like the overall toughness as well, too. Like, not to say that OKC is not a gritty team that they are, but, I mean, Houston is just a more gritty team than OKC. I guess they have Dylan Brooks, so they have a more gritty player. But their coach as well, too. Like, you know, Udoka is just bringing an extra level of toughness to that team. And I think that edge is bad. Like, the Lakers playing against a soft team is a good matchup for them. Make no mistake. With some older guys, they wouldn't mind a little less energy, a little less hustle. But Reeves is playing well right now offensively. 4 for 9, 10 points, 5 assists. LeBron. Hachimura. Are we getting Finney Smith? Okay, so Finney Smith is in action. And that's right, they just brought in Shake Milton. Whoa, a championship level team. How are they down by 13 with Shake Milton? Get him in the game. I can't believe it. What is Redick doing? How can you not play Shake Milton? Maybe we're overvaluing him. I don't know. Maybe we just need to go check out the second half of this game. Check out Sunday Night Football. Ooh, it's going to be a good one, chat. Lions-Vikings. We had to suffer through this quarterback slate to get to, I guess, you know, potential Super Bowl-ish matchup because I guess they can't be in the Super Bowl. But if we're talking about, you know, top 2 teams in the league maybe in Sunday Night Football going up against each other, I guess one last thing, we'll check the line and see what Vegas is thinking for this Sunday night game. Lions -3 at home. Okay. Seems like Montgomery's out, of course. But outside of that, it seems like normal for the injury report. So shout out, chat. Good luck to the Lions fans. Good luck, champ. Hopefully you're able to claim that 1 seed. But thank you guys for jumping on. We will be back, of course, later in the week. Stay subscribed. Stay tuned. You can follow us here on YouTube. You can follow us on the podcast platforms as well, too. Spotify, Apple. We're on socials, Instagram, TikTok. While it's still out there, TikTok, it's still chugging away. So you only have a couple more days left to follow us over there. But we're at REMINGTOM Pod, at REMINGTOM Podcast, across all platforms. Stay tuned, chat. 2025, it's going to be exciting. We're kicking around some ideas, so just make no mistake. There's going to be new things. There's going to be exciting stuff happening. And, you know, we're always, where we go? Oh, chat, there we are. We're always got stuff in the works. IT's always pitching stuff that's usually bad, but they've had a couple of good ideas recently, so who knows? We may listen to them. But either way, stay tuned. We love you guys. Thank you for jumping on tonight. 2025, it's going to be fun. Shout out. Stay tuned. Have a good one.